A boring ride.
Well, commissioners, you want me to, oh, sorry, you gotta do your thing first, huh?
Yeah, we gotta get this done. Okay, we're ready, Christie. Got it. All right. Welcome to anybody that may be online. This is Monday. And it's approximately 12:40. Monday, June 5th, 2023. This is the work meeting of the Weber County Board of Commissioners. We're going to start with agenda item 1, which is discussion and or action for approval of the minutes, the commission work session held on May 22nd.
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye. Aye, motion carries. Thanks. We'll now move to agenda item 2, discussion regarding geotech contract. Gary Meyer, Sean Wilkinson, Cortland Erickson. We have Bill Ross with us, but Gary, you're listed first. You want to take that?
You bet. So, commissioners, this is kind of a follow-up. Probably 3 weeks ago now, I think it's been, we had the first of the major landslide events up there by Nordic Valley. It was on Viking Drive.
Yeah.
If you recall that incident. And so, as a result of that, I called an associate of mine. His name happens to be Alan Spilker. He owns GSH Engineering. They're a geotechnical firm. They're actually one of the local experts we have here in the state on landslides.
Okay.
Quite a few of them, but Alan is great. Alan's fantastic. Alan completely rearranged his schedule. I called him at probably 8, 9 o'clock at night when that landslide happened. He completely rearranged his schedule and made us the first priority the very next day to come up and meet me and look at the landslide up there in Nordic. Greatly appreciated it. Alan's a good friend of mine and really, really good individual. Awesome guy. So as I was talking with Alan, we spent probably a half a day together walking that area up above the home where the landslide was. Found a lot of different issues up there that we've been working through with Nordic Valley to address. And in looking at it, in talking with Alan, we discussed doing a small contract with him so that I can go back and forth to him if I have questions or, you know, different concerns. Because to be honest with you, geotechnical is obviously not my wheelhouse, not my bailiwick, so to speak, of my expertise. I know a little bit about it, but not near as much as a gentleman like Alan would.
Okay.
And so we put together a not to exceed $10,000 number contract. I got this sent to me last week while I was on vacation. So that's why I'm a little bit slow in getting it to you, but I just wanted to bring this to you for your approval in order to do so. For a while there, we were having almost if not daily, probably every other day, where new reports of issues of groundwater and whatnot. Things have slowed down significantly.
Yeah.
But he was asking if he could get this contract in place under kind of our emergency declaration issuances.
What can you tell us about that in advance of this deal? What can you tell us before we, what did you guys talk about on your little?
A lot, Commissioner. So how long you got? But I could go on for hours. We've spent the better part of 2.5 hours walking the hillside up there together, looking at the landslide area up above where the landslide was, which is where the water entered the ground and actually caused the ground to slough off and slide down towards the house.
The top is where the water, it basically comes out of the spring exposes itself.
That's right. That's right. So there was a crack in the road up there. They cut an access road into the mountainside, Nordic Valley did. And there was a crack in there that when dirt gets heavy and slides and it starts to move, it actually separates and forms a crack. And then once that crack formed, that allowed water to go into the hillside even faster. And that's what caused the sloughing off and the exposed face down below that was where the material was sliding down into the garage of the home where it actually did slide into that house.
Is this something that, do cracks not always appear during the building process? Is this something could have manifested itself during the inspection and was missed?
Not so much. So initially the crack formed because the soil itself on the mountain was in a fairly steep area. It got due to the abnormally large weather we had, abnormally large snow amount we got this season. The ground was super saturated. There was a lot of snow to come off that mountain and it really saturated it. That saturation caused a little bit of movement, which created that crack. There really wasn't any way to have foreseen that, if that's the question you're answering. Hopefully I'm understanding you correctly. And so as we looked at that event and looked at the cause of it and what was happening, we continued our visit a little further around the mountain and we found another area to the south of it where they had some other bigger issues that had occurred in the time between when their ski season ended and when the landslide actually occurred. So it wasn't a time of the year where a lot of people were on that mountain and actually saw those events happen until the snow had melted off and we got back there and looked at it. And so we brought all these issues to the attention of Nordic Valley, where it needed to be brought to their attention because they're the ones that need to fix it and address the issues to keep more slides from happening. And so it was a huge wealth of information to have at my disposal, my beck and call there for a couple, 3 or 4 hours up there on the mountain, and I took full advantage of it.
So will he be doing any more?
Well, this was at the time that we discussed this, we didn't know what the future held because it was a day-to-day kind of a thing, right? I mean, the landslide happened on a Wednesday and then 2 days later, I was told there was another event when there really wasn't. It was just water, no landslide had happened. It was just water washing debris, but we were seeing a lot of movement. And so that's why he put this together to send over to me. The reality of it is I probably will not use a ton of this amount, but that's why it's a not to exceed number of $10,000, kind of an on-call basis.
So a question for you, why are we doing this, not the landowners? This is not our dirt.
Correct.
I was leading questions and that's where I was at.
Is that where you're going?
Okay.
So I did it, number one, he hasn't sent me an invoice for the time he spent up there with me that day.
Okay,
I asked him to come up there because we were there on site first as an emergency response to try to help the landowners and try to stop the situation from getting worse, which, believe it or not, we actually did. Once we got up there on site and assessed it, we were able to, my guys, I mobilized them with shovels and picks. We cut a trench that avoided the water from getting into that crack I've mentioned to you a moment ago and diverted it away to an area where it wasn't saturating the hillside and it went back onto the ski resort's property and didn't cause any other damage. So
so did the slide come from the ski resort side?
it did.
Okay.
It did. And so I was looking at it, number one, from just kind of a damage triage type mode, if you will, to try to stop any other damage from taking place. I truly believe that had we not cut that ditch, a larger movement would have occurred.
Okay.
That would have taken out the home and their garage, and maybe even other homes as well too. So
So is it our responsibility?
that's a good question. And I don't know, I'm looking to Cortland to maybe help me answer this. The responsibility probably lies mostly on the shoulders of the ski resort, where it's their land and they did the improvements. But to pick an individual to point the finger of blame at is a little tough because, like I say, the initial movement was because of oversaturated soil that just started to move a little bit and slid off the side of the mountain.
Well, I don't have any issue right here. In fact, not just an issue. I have appreciation for you jumping and taking the lead and the role of and going up and doing what you did and to be proactive and cut the trench. But I think we've done what we needed to do, and then I think we need to make sure and require the property owners to go from here.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. If we're gonna do this, then this needs to be not just sit in your file somewhere in your desk. This needs to go to planning. So as those future and building inspections, everybody else, so that this information can be shared, or we have justification, or we don't have justification if they decide. Now, I don't know if they have any plans to build over there or to improve it, but let's have it in a file that's just not stuck somewhere.
Absolutely.
And so it needs to go to the resort owners, needs to go in our files. We probably should send a letter to, the Nordic people to say, look, here's the results. End of the day, it's your responsibility, but we'll share this with you.
Yeah, so
And I think we ought to probably have Cortland send that letter out.
Sure. Question, and you may have said this already, was this a private road or was it a county road?
it was a private access road to the skiers place. Yeah. Yeah, so it wasn't a county road.
All right.
So that's the only part I struggle with this. Is the more the government gets their hands in the middle of stuff like this, the more we become the scapegoats and we're the
Yeah.
deep pocket.
Yeah,
And so you have the people up there going, well, county, you knew this was
Government.
going on.
Or cover mine, right? For all
Yeah.
future.
Yeah, you did this for my neighbor. Now do it for me. So
very much so.
I'm not saying it's a bad idea. I just real cautious about stuff like this.
So you make great points and forgive me, I probably overlooked some of those things as I'm initially presenting to you and trying to tell you all the details and events as it happened. Alan's role in this was more of an advisory role,
Yeah, and
and that's purely what this contract is for.
sure.
As this event happened and as we've met with Nordic Valley and identified the problems to them, I'm actually getting weekly emails from their mountain manager telling me the progress they're making, who they've hired, what they're doing, what the improvements are they're doing, and the changes they're making to the situation to make it better and safer.
What you're doing is saying, hey, look, I want to pay Alan for his time. He came up and met with me and looked at this. That's all you're
Exactly.
saying.
That's all I'm at.
10,000 is a little high, but we could probably, $200 or $300 an hour, something like that,
It's, so in the world of a landslide, fingers point everywhere. I don't know how much experience you guys have with them. If you look at them throughout the state where we've had them, like, for example, look at Woods Cross and that whole subdivision where an entire landslide happened. Fingers point everywhere and they get very, very.
Washington Terrace, our own.
That's exactly right. Riverdale there. And so loss becomes catastrophic and it can be expensive quickly. And so, the intent was not to run up a huge bill with Alan, but more as an advisory role as they make changes. I might ask him some questions of clarification on different issues, that kind of thing, just to make sure that I think they're doing it in the right way.
Gary, what's
the
the
amount
amount that we spent thus far?
0. So I haven't spent a single penny with him yet until this contract was in place and signed. He did send a letter to me that showed what they had observed. I asked him to also do a letter of recommendation as well. We're probably talking less than $1,000 of what that letter would be, because when he came on site, it was not only himself, but he brought a geologist with him, as well as an additional geotechnical engineer with him as well.
Will he bill you for that?
No, he didn't bill me for any of that time.
I'd like to give him some money, because if we ever need him again, I want him to join me on the spot like
Yeah.
he did before.
Exactly.
I think that's good.
So yeah, and that was part of my thoughts as well, commissioners, is I can't tell you how much I appreciated him completely rearranging his schedule. As we're walking, his 2 engineers he brought with him, or the geologist and the engineer, were getting phone calls from the appointments. They were skipping at that moment to be there with me on site on the mountain looking at the issue. So I greatly appreciated his time.
Okay, so your idea is to go after some state funding on this through the emergency
Yeah.
funds. Okay.
Yeah.
Do we need to put this on the agenda, Cortland?
Well,
It's a
well,
ratification
and
of the contract.
it's not even so much that, it's more just an advisory role as Nordic make changes. If we have questions about their changes, to just check with Alan and
use that
make sure that they're
expertise.
doing it the right
Yeah.
way.
But yes, this is a contract that we
Okay.
would need to send through the contract approval system. You got
But
to.
is it a ratification of the contract?
It hasn't been signed yet, so it's
Okay.
not really a ratification. It's,
Okay.
Okay.
and if I may, I talked to
Please.
Gary about just a couple of little concern, well, a little concern and then a bigger concern earlier. There's one about grandma that he's gonna work with Alan to figure out, but the other one is in the middle of that first page under scope of services, there is a bolded, underlined condition there that says the client, meaning the county, to retain all liability for any existing or future claims or damages. GSH cannot be held liable really for anything. that is very broad, and normally that's a huge red flag for the attorney's office, because they're basically
Yeah,
saying,
I
we're
saw
gonna be
that.
liable for nothing. You county are liable for everything. In the back, under their terms and conditions, normally they do, under paragraph 9, still require the county to indemnify them unless it is caused by their negligence. And then they limit their liability in paragraph 10. But that paragraph on the first page, the front, kind of overrides those and
Yeah.
says, we're gonna be liable for nothing. You're completely liable, county. Now, Gary has mentioned this might not really be a situation where there's going to be any liability that arises for GSH if they're just kind of advising, and if Gary is, doing his thing, and if it's really a Nordic Valley issue and they're the landowners, then maybe there's really minimal risk here. I just wanted to bring that to your attention, because if we agree to this the way it's written, then anybody who sues GSH for anything that happens in the future that is tied to anything that GSH either did or does, GSH will be able to point to this and say, you have to take all of our liability, county. Again, it might be really remote. It might not be an issue here, depending on how we use the work they did, but
That's a pretty broad release.
it is. And so my thought, if they'd be willing to agree to it, if they would just say, if they would get rid of that paragraph in the front and just stick with their standard clause in paragraphs 9 and 10, we could at least have a little bit of comfort knowing that if they were the negligent party, they would accept liability for that, at least up to the amount of the agreement, which is only $10,000. But that's better than nothing, I guess. So I don't know. I don't know what your feelings
Well,
are.
I don't think there's a lot of liability. I just hate those broad categorizations, but.
And if I can interject for just a
Mhm,
second,
please.
my opinion as well too, for $10,000, you're really not using them in a large capacity. So if they were to do anything of any size or substance, it's going to be a much larger contract value, at which point we'd have a different contract as well for this. This was mostly just an advisory role, and just bouncing ideas off, that kind of thing.
I don't mind signing page 2, but I'd be more comfortable to remove the bold on the first page, and I'd recommend that we go ahead, Mr. Chair, and approve this as presented, except for striking the bold.
Okay. I'm okay with that.
That's
Looking for a second?
Yep.
Second.
Okay, second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, looks like you got a contract.
Awesome.
Okay, Gary, before we move on, John, have you seen this FEMA letter?
Have not.
Okay.
Is that the one for
That's a-
Water District?
No, that's the Flood Management Act update. So we have, those are the recommendations from FEMA
Okay.
to update our maps.
I am.
So I think it says we have 90 days,
Okay.
and then we ought to take, so I don't know who does that. I guess that's probably Gary's.
Yeah, Gary, thank you.
What are they recommending? What updates?
So they've got all sorts of
Just the final,
property addresses.
final summary of the map actions that they took when they updated the most recent FEMA maps.
Okay. But is this the big one that they have been in the process for the last 2 years?
Yes. I
Yeah,
believe
it
so.
is.
So not related to this season then? It's-
No.
No,
Oh, okay, so this has actually been a process that's been in place for a little over 2 years now.
it has.
Yeah.
And so we were expecting that these FEMA maps would update and change drastically, which honestly, it was not near as much as I thought it would be as a result, but there will be some changes.
Well, so they're giving us till November, I think, to get back to them if either with site map changes or regulation changes or whatever we need to do,
That's
If any-
awesome.
if anything.
Could I make a copy of that? then?
Yeah, so Gary, they did send a CC to you,
Did
You
they?
you should have a copy of that.
Okay.
just in case you don't.
Yeah. And so this probably means we just have to reach out to the individuals probably on this list that I'm guessing, right?
Well, I think we just need to take a look at what they've identified
Okay.
as map changes and see if we agree with them or not.
I'll make a copy of this, so I don't steal your only copy, Commissioner,
Okay.
and,
You
Yeah.
guys look through that
Yeah.
and then we'll get back.
absolutely.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
let us know, but. If you look to me like we had till November of this year
Okay,
to make changes, if we're gonna make any changes.
yeah,
Doesn't require us to.
right. And initially, they gave us a chance to provide feedback on this process as well, which we really didn't have any reason to object to any of the changes.
Well, and it said that the mandatory public, update, there was no responses, so it doesn't look like they have to have a certain number of days that the public has a right to review, and
Right,
so I think we're fine with that.
yeah. No, for sure. Thanks for bringing this to my attention.
I just wanted you to look at it.
Yeah. that's
Okay.
great.
Wow, we are right on schedule. Look at that. 1 o'clock on the nose.
There you go.
Let's go to discussion regarding rental agreement policy for Weaver Center. Sean, Bill, Cortland here. What about Rhonda? Is she coming up?
Yeah, well, she might be out there right now.
Okay,
Thank you for the reminder, Bill. Thanks, folks. I appreciate your time.
Gary, thanks for all you do.
thanks, Gary.
Pleasure.
You've been, well, I hope you had a good vacation.
It was awesome. It was awesome.
Thank you.
But understand, it wasn't just me, it was everybody, right? Not-
You're a good leader, Gary.
Thanks, you guys. We'll see you.
See ya.
So, yeah,
See you, Gary. Thank you.
Ron,
Rhonda was supposed to
so
be.
Christie will send Rhonda in.
Okay,
She doesn't have to be here, but she's the one that processes any of these
what is this?
that come through. So this is
Okay,
the rental agreement and rental policy for the Weaver Center.
okay,
So we wanted to go over just a few things with you. You've seen this once before, but it's been a few months. It's not high on the priority list, so it kind of ebbs and flows as important things come up.
yeah, it's good to take a look at this stuff though.
Yes,
Okay,
all right,
so are the red the changes?
yes,
Okay,
And the blue.
yeah, I am the blue. So the red are the
Red are
strikeouts and the blue are the additions. Even though the blues have got a line through it, they're the addition. Well, if I take, okay,
It
so
might have been one color is Sean.
Yeah.
changes, one color is mine.
I take that back. So
okay, some of the.
if
blues-
it's not struck out, then it's new.
Okay,
Whatever is struck out is old language. So
got it.
let's start with the policy first.
Okay,
Okay, so if we go down to 18.1.2.
got it.
So the eligible users, Weaver County offices and departments, county-created organizations, and Weaver Center tenants. We added the tenants in there because we have several that do use some of our facilities, and we think that's appropriate where they have a stake in this building.
Okay,
So then it says, unless otherwise approved by the county commission, only other governmental entities, charitable organizations, registered political parties, and nonprofit public service organizations, which are non-county, may use the conference rooms and other areas when not in use by Weaver County. So we have limited who can use the Weaver Center. It's not just open for anybody that wants to come and rent it, unless there's an exception made by the county commission.
okay, I like
Are
that.
you okay with those categories?
Yeah,
We have other facilities like libraries, Golden Spike, and conference centers that can accommodate those other users.
Correct.
is there anyone using it now or in the recent past?
Yeah,
that
so-
would not be able to under
Uh,
this?
no, not that would not be able to. So some of the groups that we do have, the Republican women hold their lunches here sometimes. The Weaver County Republican Party have some meetings here. The Division of Wildlife Resources Regional Advisory Committee holds their meetings here. Those are the main ones that we have right now.
The Chamber of Commerce holds.
Yeah, and the Chamber of Commerce holds their events, but they are a tenant, so they would fall under the approved
Just
category.
adding it to the list.
So
absolutely.
this wouldn't alleviate any of those groups.
No, if this would not, no, they would still be able to use it. Everyone that is renting now would be able to.
okay,
Okay, so the next thing I have on the next page. Let's look at 18.1.5 fees and damage. So
just what I was reading.
we have a fee of $50 for the first hour
and $20 for each additional hour will be assessed for use of the Weaver Center to cover expenses associated with utilities, custodial services, and maintenance of the rooms utilized. Additional charges, including for building security, may be assessed in accordance with the terms of a facility rental agreement. And the county commission may waive the fee for specific events. For registered political parties, the fee shall be limited as the state code says.
What is that?
So we cannot charge them. Basically, we can't charge them. They can use this.
I think it's unless they request.
Certain
security
things,
or
yeah,
something.
yeah. So that's really all that's in the policy. It's pretty straightforward. We've defined who can use it and how much they will pay. I don't know that there's anything else that needs to be in there unless you would
So
like
this is the
anything else.
political parties and stuff can start paying?
The political parties would not pay unless they
Under-
request certain things from us.
Under state code?
Yeah, that we would provide. Under-
That's just the political
Yeah,
party
just the
itself.
political parties, just
So not Republican women. They would have
correct.
to pay.
They would have to pay because they are not. political.
Republican would have to.
Yeah, but the actual Weaver County
Weaver County.
Republican or Democrat Party or Libertarians or whatever, if they are a registered political party, then they don't have to pay the fee.
Yeah, it says. The charge, for use of by a registered political party may not exceed. The actual cost of custodial services for cleaning and any service requested by the political party and provided by the meeting facility. So,
Yeah.
Unless they request security, we cannot charge them for security.
But we could charge them for custodian.
Potentially, but if, yeah, if, well, but they're not paying those technically, yeah.
Yeah.
The issue comes up, can we actually go in and say it cost you $50 because you sat in some
We're
chairs?
cleaning this because of you.
Exactly.
And we've used it.
That's,
So it's not worth the battle.
that's exactly for the registered political parties.
Yeah.
Now, for the others, I think there's an argument to be made that if people are using our building,
Yeah.
there's going to be some kind of
No.
maintenance or cleaning that we have to do. So that's why, but it's $50 is a pretty nominal fee. So
Okay,
that is the policy. So if you have any questions, we can go through those. Otherwise, we can jump to the rental agreement.
let's do the rental. So that was gonna be my next question. Have you got a rental agreement attached?
Yes, so there should, you should have two documents.
Okay,
So
got it,
Weaver County Facility Rental Agreement
Yep.
for the Weaver Center.
Got it.
Okay.
right there.
So the first one that I'd like to talk about is number 6. So if the event takes place after 5 PM, building security must be arranged by contacting the Weaver County Sheriff's Deputy at the Weaver Center. The fee for the security is $50 per hour and requires a separate contract.
I wouldn't
Go ahead.
put the rate in there. Cause that could change based on their load and their needs.
That's true.
It just further ties us down. Would be, it requires a separate contract, and how are you going to validate that that separate contract is back?
So
Are
they will have to provide that contract to us before you will sign this contract. Now, to that point, though, we'll talk a little bit about security. So, for example, these political parties come in, and in the past, they've just said, you know, we'll monitor the door. Well, the sheriff is here, so we feel like we're safe and we don't need security. Or with the Division of Wildlife Resources, they have wildlife officers with weapons, and so they feel like we're protected, we're safe, we don't
Real
need
bullets?
your security, real bullets.
Oh,
So in those cases, we would not charge the $50 security fee, but in some cases, we would want that if they're going to have the building open and they don't have people that typically provide security services, then that's something we would want them to do. So that's the question. How would you like us to handle security that way?
Well, I think there's two issues with security. The first issue is what you mentioned is, they worried about somebody coming in? They've got to have their sheriff there to protect them. But the other part of security is, you know, what if they get some person in there that all of a sudden decides to go rogue and come on, you know, break into the offices and start, you know,
Yeah,
hides out,
Exactly.
is here and breaks doors down and trashes the building. that's, to me, that's security.
Yeah.
I'm less concerned about, there's enough people out there that are packing now. But if they get one of these guys in here, or one of these people that say, hey, we're gonna get in, this is our opportunity to get in the Weber Center and do the, January 6th on the Weber Center, that concerns me.
Yeah. So
That's the security issue we've got to deal with.
you're right. So where it says the renter may provide its own event security,
Yeah,
do you want that taken out?
well, how do we make sure that everybody that comes in that door has limited access to the rest of the building?
Yeah.
Or, doesn't hang out and then cause damage?
So that's the same thing we deal with at our planning commission meetings.
Yeah,
And right now, Mike attends some of those when we feel like it's going to be a bigger crowd. But he doesn't attend all of them. So those doors are open and anybody can just come
Right.
in and
That
go
open,
wherever
keep
they
the
want.
doors open for the bathrooms. I'm in step with you here, Dave.
yeah,
So
But you have to have bathroom access.
that's right. You gotta have bathroom access
so,
and emergency access.
but to me, it's not security to protect them. It's
Correct,
security. How do we protect our asset?
right. We're more.
That's why
worried
you
about-
have a security deposit for the home or the rental. It's not to protect the people inside, it's protect your apartment or your
Right.
house.
And maybe what you do is you could hire a third-party security, because the sheriff's a little more money. But you could hire a third-party security to protect our asset.
Well, I just,
Maybe that's what we have to do. I hate to see that because you put it on some of those organizations when they go after hours, you put it on them and that's just, look, hey, Weaver County Republican Party, you're just gonna have to pay, ABC security,
Well,
and just hang out.
or they go to
protect our assets.
they go to a facility that closes down at 10 o'clock, not at 5. And so they could stay there till 10 and then somebody comes in and sweeps the building at 10 o'clock at the library or wherever else it may be. We don't do that here.
And I don't know if they pay a fee at the library or not.
Well, I'm just saying, I don't think the library charges them,
Okay,
but my point is, if you have a building that their hours
Yeah.
go till 9 or 10 o'clock,
Correct.
then it's up to the
Then they're
people.
closing up later.
They close up, yeah, we're closing shop at 9 o'clock at the library. You've got to be out at 9, but we'll take care of security.
Right.
We're different, unless we want to start paying somebody to be up here till 9, then, which I don't think we're gonna do that.
right. So maybe then we force, if they want the building after hours, we force them to use the sheriff's office. I think we can do that. I don't know that we want somebody else that
No.
we don't know providing security for our building. But if it's a county employee who works for the sheriff's
I agree,
office, that makes sense.
it's got to be Mike or somebody in the sheriff's department that knows the building, can keep an eye on things.
Different areas too, so.
But require it. You're talking about requiring.
Yeah, yeah,
So that's another thought, but let's go back to
Yeah.
the planning commission meetings for a minute. We need a way to lock down our building and
yeah.
we don't want to go spend a lot of money retrofitting because we're gonna go through this whole process anyway. But we'd like to be able to lock down that first floor, so access is very limited.
I think that's good. I think as we go through the design and with the folks that we figure out a way to do that too. That's a good idea. To lock, I don't want to get to I know Gage has got a lot of friends over there at the Ogden City desk where he goes up to those other floors.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I don't know that we want to get to that, but I would like.
No,
If that makes, we have to have just we get a unisex bathroom somewhere else.
well, we don't,
Figure out
I mean,
a way to
All
put a
you'd have to
bathroom
do on
out
the
there.
first floor is block off the elevators
Mhm.
and the access to the stairwell. in your
Right,
building, 'cause
right.
Everything else is concealed within.
They block off
Lobby
the
and-
elevators.
What's that?
How do you block off the
Well,
elevators?
we could just, the
We
problem.
can't turn them off.
No, we
by
can't.
law,
We can't
but-
turn 'em off.
But
We
we
have-
talked about putting some slider gates up so that,
Part of the problem is we have our cleaners in here at
Yeah.
the same
Yeah.
time, and if we turn off access to the elevators, then they're lugging stuff up and down stairs and. it
They-
just becomes-
Having no
they work
sewer,
at night,
we
right?
blocked it, Right.
Right,
Yeah.
so that's part of our issue as well.
yeah. Well, yeah, if we have to keep those elevators, then it doesn't do any good to block the stairway off.
Well, you can lock the door on that floor and they can still they just couldn't use the first floor.
But how do you deal with the library or the elevators? I mean,
That's what I'm saying. You just get some, kind of like a slider gate. You can get a taller one that would span that and cleaners would just not have access to the first floor during that, it's not gonna be down there cleaning anyways. So we keep everybody on the first floor.
Okay,
You know, if you have, you've seen those.
yeah,
You see it mostly, they're only about 4 feet. They're like event gate things, but you can get them 6 feet tall.
and how does that impact us? This is probably a legal question. Because they still, even the first floor, they would have access to Merrill Lynch and, even though it's glass.
So, yeah, we'd have to put up a slider gate right there as well. So if they came anywhere, they'd run into those gates, they could use the bathroom. But there's
Okay.
no way they could go any
Past the
further
elevator.
past, they couldn't get to the
So
elevators.
you'd block off both
No,
access.
We'd have to block off both of those. So really, they come in and then they head straight down to the bathrooms.
Yeah,
That door would be locked somehow, so there's very limited access.
I'm not as concerned about access into Merrill Lynch or the other
Yeah.
one that's there, the title company, because the title company's right there too.
That's true.
Or even if we just somehow block off the elevators and block off the back past the
Yeah.
bathrooms.
It's pretty
So they
simple.
can't get to the
If you have some
stairwell.
gates and you have security, it's not, no one's gonna go past those.
And the chambers are usually open.
Chambers would be open, yeah, that'd be,
Mhm.
then it's still the access out the back would all lead people to those areas, and that'd be okay.
And I guess it
It gives
depends
you an
on,
emergency access still, a secondary access out that back door where there used to be the old law library.
Yep.
That'd be okay.
I guess it depends on where they want to have the event.
yeah, where are, most of these events are in the room behind
Oh,
the chamber, right?
Most of them are, but the wildlife rack group holds their events in the commission
In the
chambers.
chambers.
Oh, they do?
That'd be okay. I'd be okay.
So I think that's okay if they're using that, but when I go to the GOP meetings,
You're,
the chambers are open.
yeah,
When you're talking about somebody just hiding out and waiting overnight.
Yeah.
There, the door's always open.
Talks
well,
about.
can't we lock that chamber
Yeah.
door?
That's all we need to do. is
It's just
We just
lock
lock,
it.
see, that's where they're gonna hide it. They'll
Right.
walk in and hide in.
Right, when I go back, sometimes I'll just stop back to the office,
Maybe
you're down
say
the hall,
those
it's
can
wide
only
open.
be used
Yeah,
during,
But you just shut the door and lock it.
we just block that out.
Easy.
Yeah, I agree.
during business hours. So that's,
Makes sense.
Cortland brings up a good point. Where it says that unless otherwise approved by the county commission, only the county commission chambers, including the breakout room, training rooms 312 and 313, and the basement atrium may be used by non-county organizations. If it's after hours and people want to use the third floor or the basement atrium, then
Yeah,
they've got to have
Yeah.
security.
Yep,
Sure.
yep.
After hours, first floor only.
The only
Yeah.
floor that,
Okay,
yeah,
or we just limit it and we say if you're after hours.
why don't we
First
just say
floor.
after hours is limited to that main
Okay.
floor
We can do
behind the
that.
chamber, or the chambers, I guess, at
I'm
the
with that.
DWR.
Yep.
Now, if they wanted to come at 12 noon, like the Republican women, great, let them go where they want to go.
Okay,
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
so we'll limit it to the first floor after hours.
Yeah.
And then maybe this just falls on us and we just say access after hours will be only through Washington Boulevard.
Yeah.
That main door,
Is there access?
yeah,
We can change the time anytime on that.
Every GOP meeting I go to, people are knocking on the
So,
window to get
that's
let in.
because that's their security.
Oh, that is?
That Jake says, I don't want to pay for security,
Oh, well, there you go.
so we will let.
Now I
people-
know.
He said, I will personally let people in.
They
now."
do. There's like a runner that sits on the end.
Elizabeth Cotton complains about it every time. They never unlock that door for us.
But
That's
Jake,
so
said that
interesting. Now that I
Jake
know,
requested-
I'll just chime in and say that's why.
Yeah.
Jake requested that.
Because Elizabeth does complain every time.
That's your, friend.
She's not there anymore, is she?
Mm-mm.
Oh, isn't she?
No, she got beat.
We did our job in District 10.
You
Yeah,
did
we
good.
didn't do our
Yeah,
job.
you did good. Okay, proud of you. Okay, well, I think that's my main concern.
Okay. So let us look at that. We'll come back to you. After we've had a chance to, let us talk to Bryce and Mike and we can figure some things out. We'll come back on another work session with a recommendation there.
So we're making sure after hours, it's only the first floor.
Correct.
Or did we decide we're requiring the sheriff's office to provide security after hours?
What are your thoughts?
That's my preference. I mean, they know the building. And again, if, they go out and say, well, we've got XYZ, security, and some of those guys are just as, prone to cause havoc because they're just the guys that are fresh out of, Moeta, they get those jobs, so.
Well, if you require it, then the GOP can't do that anymore.
Well, but
So, under
The-
the statute, if
the
they,
political parties are kind of have their own little,
That's what I'm
could we
saying.
require them to pay for security? I
I
guess that's the
haven't
question.
in a long time.
what?
Oh my gosh, Gage. You
Who
got me
was
off
Mr.
guard.
Movita?
A lot of those guys,
It doesn't look.
I know a
like
couple
we can
personally.
Require them to pay.
we can't get a job, we're gonna go be a security
Like,
guard.
we might have to,
We don't get to pack a gun, boy.
Really?
because yeah. so
People in
the
the
charge
middle tell you.
imposed
Get a
may not
badge on
exceed
the
the
trouble.
actual. service
Trouble goes
Those are
away.
what
any service
Did you- I thought
requested
for
by
the
the
first time
political party
what that
applied.
stand, where that came from, Morgan Weaver
If they're not
Davis.
requesting.
Where?
Moeta,
But if we
Morgan Weaver
require it,
Davis.
Oh, you didn't know that?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Like 2 weeks ago, I heard that.
I never heard that before.
Now you know,
Moeta's gone away
Thank you
though.
very
Gage
much.
knows.
I know it.
That's what I'm asking. If we require it, then you'd have to go back to Jake and say you have to pay for it.
so that's the question I just asked Cortland. He says. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, the way the statute reads is the charge imposed for the use of a meeting facility described in subsection 1 by a registered political party may not exceed the actual cost of A, custodial services for cleaning the meeting facility after the use by the political party, and B, any service requested by the political party and provided by the meeting facility.
Hmm.
So if they're not requesting it,
And we can't charge them.
it looks like we can't charge them. If we're the ones saying you have to do this, I'm not sure we can charge them for that security cost.
Okay,
Um,
only for the political parties,
right.
Correct.
How often is that though?
but
Once a month.
they do what, one time a month?
After hours?
Yeah,
Okay.
6:30.
so. I'm assuming we would be okay if we just, since we can't charge them for that, if it's our request. That we would continue to let Jake open the door,
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
right?
Do they have to have 2 exits for security reasons, for safety reasons?
You do, well, from inside the building, so you can always get out, you just can't get in.
But we would have 2 exits still available.
Which is,
Mhm.
or what?
You have the front
So-
door and then the side door on
If
24th.
you can
Yeah.
access the side door, you're gonna be able to access the
It's
hallway.
locked all the time, with only on the exit, so.
But if you go down into that hallway, you can get back into the atrium, right?
Yeah, but they'll be locked off. The atrium will be locked off to the,
Other than the restrooms,
other than the restrooms.
Yeah, if they go down that emergency exit hall, that's
Yeah.
okay.
yeah,
Cause you'd have the rest gated off.
Correct.
Gotcha.
okay. Any questions? I think we're okay with that, so,
I mean, this is an agreement that on a case-by-case basis, if it is a political party, you can just take out the security language if you're
Yeah.
okay with that. So this isn't the policy itself.
Correct.
So
yeah,
you're free to just waive that requirement, and take that paragraph out.
that's just the agreement.
Okay, and maybe that's what we do for the political parties, is just take that out.
Is there more than just the one?
We haven't had any other requests. It's just the GOP right now that uses it.
Yeah,
But we would accommodate whoever, so.
yeah, so we'd have to do that for anybody. Political party.
Right.
Okay, anything else, Sean?
That's it for this.
All right. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks for the laugh, Gage. I don't know why that
Oh, wait,
came out far.
We didn't even know what Moeta was back in middle school, but we heard the name all the time, and we knew it was a bad place.
Then
That's
you
the first time you
Moeta.
heard about Moeta?
No, I heard about it, but I don't know why you just made me laugh when you said that's where they get their security
What do you think
guard.
Gage went to high school? Well, because I know some,
You just caught me off guard.
I happen to
It
know
was-
some people that went there that became security guards.
Detention facility.
Because
Your
they-
detention. If
Well,
you
they-
heard about it, it's because like somebody robbed
Getting
it.
the badge on the trouble, the
Yeah.
trouble goes away.
Store.
Get a badge on the trouble,
Yeah.
trouble goes away.
So it's not a school anymore. They went to Moeta.
Some reason I like that.
Exactly. Exactly.
He's gonna go to
Did you-
Moeta.
Did you ever know where Moeta was?
I thought it was on 12th Street. Is it?
No, it was out in Roy.
Really?
I had no idea.
12th Street was Washington High. That was the dropout high school.
That was not 12th Street. That was out on by North Street.
So wait,
High wall.
we're on, high wall high. High wall.
High wall high. That's what-
Didn't they move Moita down by where the fire training tower thing is?
No, that's Mill Creek.
But
That's Mill.
that's Mill Creek. So that's Mill Creek. And then the one across the street, the one across the street from Mill Creek is what happened
Mhm.
after the state decided to shut Moita down and sold that property. Then we acquired the property there on the, next to our piece on 12th
Mhm.
Street. And that happened after, so that's kind of low security. The Mill Creek's for the higher security. Yeah,
So where was Moita and Roy?
on 5600 South,
Where?
Oh, I know.
down about, what was it?
It's just below the tracks.
Just below the
I don't-
tracks,
you go
yeah.
over the tracks, and take a right. it's right there.
Yeah,
Go over the tracks, take a right by the nursing home?
I know I've been working that.
That nursing home has been there. for
it was
years.
right off of 56. I don't know how far west, but big red.
Did you have to walk there
Walk there?
when you went there?
You checked your license up? No, I didn't have to walk.
Electrical.
Do you live there when you go?
I might have walked, but I don't remember it. I think we took a state car.
Oh my gosh.
You keep your German up.
Well, and then I'm trying to think of the history that,
I don't have a lot of time for it.
did Mill Creek come into existence before the one up on the ATC campus? Because that wasn't around very long.
No, it wasn't around long.
I'm trying to think why we gave that one up.
It's a good question.
Get involved in.
My wife was on the school board and they went and toured that facility.
Yeah,
The school district was, she was for Ogden before they moved to Pleasant View. And yeah. Not a happy feeling in that place.
No.
From what I've heard.
No.
we put that, the state put that on the auction block. After we must have done it after we did the state facility on the south side, because we were using it until then. So I oversaw all the state buildings.
Okay,
So we put that on the auction block and ATC wanted to buy it. And then we said, okay, you can buy it, but you'll have to tear it down. And they got a bid to tear it down. It was like, back then it was quarter or about $500,000. And they go, well, we can't do that. But the thing is just, it's a fortress. But what do you do with that building now?
yeah,
Turn into a daycare?
with
Daddy
3
daycare.
foot thick walls.
Yeah. All right,
You ready for the? Thanks, Portland.
but that's where High Wall High, just to answer your question,
I never heard.
we're just to the west.
Wall high.
It's just to the west.
West of that facility. So the well, you know where the ATC is.
Yeah.
So you know the road,
Oh, yeah.
so the road that you turn off of Washington and go into the main part of the campus now, it sat right on that corner right there.
I think I might have known that.
Yeah.
Actually, I think I might have known that.
I haven't heard that one for a while.
I
I
have
heard
not-
Moita. I
Yeah,
remember that.
They're two different facilities,
two
right?
different facilities, yeah.
High Wall High, we call it dropout high. But wasn't it called Washington High?
Oh, yeah,
Washington?
yeah, it was Washington.
Yeah.
Yeah, but, okay.
But yeah,
Back to
so
like elementary
well, I think there-
conversations.
I'm pretty sure that when High Wall High went away, it went away because of Moita. So because they shut that down with
Sure.
the ATC and then they went, which would have been back in probably mid-70s. Then they went to Moita they tore the High Wall High down.
That's about when I was in elementary having
Yeah.
those conversations. Oh my gosh.
All right, Sean, what do we got here?
I'm not on the next one. I may hang around,
I have,
but
I have my buddies here.
Well, where's
Say we
Lacey?
need to. Is she coming?
Give me just a minute.
Lacey,
Ready?
it's Steve.
Give me just a quick second.
All right,
Sean, I was.
Wow.
That's what I'm gonna talk to you. I'm gonna phone call on Friday.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, how you doing?
Oh,
See
there's
ya.
a property next door.
Yeah, how you been? Hanging in there?
Oh,
You right? Hanging in
We sent a letter.
You know the drill, all right?
Yes.
You bring it.
That's why I
Lacey,
called
we're
that
good.
call.
yeah.
No, I don't think so.
He said-
I think
and
we gotta
he
cover.
said-
She might show up.
It's not the one, it's not the immediate one, which is the
Okay.
one who lives here, right? Or out of the country.
You guys hungry?
What was his name?
Jason Allen. And he, I don't know, I sent him the third one. up.
Grab some things if you want.
He just asked if they could be part of the conversation about parking.
Oh, okay.
But this is what made me chuckle and a little uneasy actually. He said, so we were watching and listening to our security camera. We had the audio and everything, and someone from the county said, well,
the dinosaur
let's just block off their access.
for the very first time.
Oh my God.
Yeah, no. That was part of the conversation, like, well, what if we just block this off?
Not anybody would hit Jake. And but I was in my mind, Bill said I'm a security camera. Anyway, so he was just calling me because he knows me, helped me on my campaign a little bit.
Okay.
So he's like, I just wanted to let you guys know that all the property owners in that strip want to be part of the conversation when we talk about parking. He said, even if we purchased that, in our conversation, in the work session, I was under the understanding that they didn't own any part.
So if you're gonna go right.
Well, there are some on the west side of that parking lot. As you go back and you make the turn, on the west side, they own 3 or 4 right there, but everything on the east wall, yeah. They own like 3/4
Okay.
of those parking. spots.
So, yeah. Anyway, he just said, will you please, I know there's the one who got flooded, but the rest of us want to be in on the conversation.
Okay.
I'll pass it on to Sean. But my first thought was.
Lacey, how you doing?
On that recording.
That's good to know.
Oh my gosh.
I'll come down.
Just video.
Is that what we're supposed to be looking
Yeah,
at?
we definitely brought that up. I mean,
Like, I think.
we know that
I told him, I said, if that was brought up, it's not.
it was,
Back on this
what are
again.
our options?
We're back on this again.
Anyway,
We never left it, Jim.
Okay, that's,
I'm sure we didn't.
that's good to know. We need to be careful.
You told us to go get.
There's
this.
some-
And it felt like, we did that, so now we're back, just trying to get this thing resolved.
Yeah, it's
Bring
amazing
back some of my conversations I've had.
to do this when it benefits them,
Very, I'm like.
but when it doesn't. anything,
Right.
Every day.
Yeah,
There you
in fact,
go.
I had
I
a
appreciate
conversation with
that.
Randy
But if you.
Elliott
I'm
about
sure
this.
she
About
has
remember
that.
how we did all the work for the.
Parking and
They should have gotten a letter
Lot line
that went
adjustment.
out last week.
Their attorney didn't
they'll
like
know where to
it.
find you
Yeah,
guys. and-
absolutely.
One attorney didn't like it.
Just one?
And it's shot us down, and in the meantime, they haven't cleaned up their mess from the fire that happened down there 4 or 5 years ago. And that's been one of the big
Thank
problems
you.
we've had with search and rescue and with our flooding.
How
is
are you
Because
guys?
they didn't clean up their mess.
Oh, that garbage floats downstream.
It's on their side, it gets in the river and ends up in our yard.
Yeah.
Just in case you don't ever have any neighbors along a river.
I just have a couple.
I just told you, a
Yes.
bunch of crap.
Yeah.
With
Yeah,
this,
poor
with this
Steve put all this
economy,
work into it.
they're
That
okay, and-
thing just down there, Kendall, the attorney. I told him.
Homes like.
Who's the attorney?
We worked really aggressive with our.
Really?
It's not a, it's not
Is that a
a.
handle from there?
No,
I see that at Youngstown.
I don't know, because he wants to be the chief
Yeah.
authority.
We're really fortunate.
And he lives in South,
Well,
he's an idiot.
Well, Davis County, they've been way too much attention to their attorneys.
Come way down. It's a bummer, but it is kind of.
Those attorneys.
Those Davis County ones, overpaid,
It's good.
pissy, bedwetting.
Sell them. Yeah.
But they don't have good attorneys, you know, they got somebody to listen to.
Right,
Sure.
so.
All right.
William, I told Stacy that unless the 3 of us will sign that letter up there, North Fork, that
Yeah.
I want you to sign that.
Okay, all 3 of you signed it, right?
Well,
We haven't signed it yet,
Oh,
But
but we
we're going,
promised to.
we're going to,
perfect.
it's authorized.
Sharon Bowles.
Yeah, it's great to
Nice to
meet
meet
you.
All right, let's go ahead and get started. This is our 1:30. Discussion regarding minor county boundary adjustments with Davis County. Lacey Richards is on our agenda. You know, sorry, she.
No.
She trumped
It
you.
does it does everybody a favor if Lacey's on.
And
the
we'd rather
agenda.
listen to her anyway, I gotta be honest.
Lacey's on the top of my totem pole.
Yes.
All right, who's gonna start? Lacey
Handling a
or
lot of others.
Lacey.
you actually have input here, so.
I'll just be quiet. I'll let Lacey take it.
I'm just getting, you know, sometimes it's better, the less you said, the more it's gonna get done,
That is exactly right.
you know.
At home, at county commission,
No,
all of the above.
that's a life lesson.
That's right. But I'm still learning,
I think you guys are awful
here with this. It's just an area that is only developable in South Weaver City. They're ready to take it. Davis County's ready to take it.
Have we seen this before?
Yes,
This looks familiar.
yes.
Yeah.
I don't think I have.
So I think the instruction was.
Bring me
get
up to
Davis
speed.
County- Yeah, so
Sure
get
have.
Davis County on board. And so we went and got Davis County on board. So we're back.
So Davis County's on board? You're kidding me?
No.
All right, there you go.
Yeah, I'm sick, okay. I have some comments when you're ready, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
Hey, hold on, can I just make one more statement, Jim?
Yeah.
I shouldn't interrupt you, I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead.
I was just gonna say, there's a lot of baggage, right, on this deal, and you guys understand it better than probably Steve Lacy and I ever will. Just in terms of the Davis County, Weber County dynamic, we're trying to just say, why does this matter? From Weber's County's perspective or Davis County's perspective, why does this even matter? There's a lot of baggage, and I know we hope not to get caught in the political crossfire between the counties. Really, in reality, if you look at this though, Jim, how does it make sense? If you flip to the next slide, who's driving the ship?
Should be right there.
You are.
Oh, good. All right, so this is the subdivision. So Jim, as you
Wow.
look at the details of this subdivision, we've
I
already
get it.
We've
There
already
you
got
go.
it mostly approved. It's like we're splitting lots right up here and it just doesn't make sense from a cohesion perspective, from a services perspective. There might be a few of these lots
It
if this,
doesn't make sense from a tax perspective.
from a
Give it
tax
break.
perspective, from a services
We're gonna get two
perspective.
Tax notices?
Yes, that's exactly right,
I don't
Gage.
think so.
So we're just trying to do the common sense thing here. I think we've got Davis County. We met with a guy Jeff Euler's his name. But who's Jeff? He's the county administrator or something?
Was their head planner.
Head planner. Okay, anyway, Davis County thinks that they've kind of weighed in and said, hey, this makes sense from our perspective, so we're just trying to put a bow around this so that we can get going on the subdivision. We're really waiting on this item, and then we're supposed to be on the planning commission for South Weber on Thursday.
So just so so I'm 100%, we're taking everything into Weaver.
We're pushing,
No.
we're pushing everything
Giving it
into,
up.
you're giving it.
All right. We're
So
giving.
that line right there, that red line right there is the Davis County, Weber County boundary.
Right.
And so essentially this little piece that's up here to the north, you're taking that and giving that to Davis County.
Okay.
And South Weaver City said they'd annex it.
They will annex it? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So you're gonna split your subdivision then?
Well, if we have to leave it like this, we would split our
Why don't you
subdivision.
just give it all to Davis County or have it all in Weaver? One of
That's
the-
what we want.
That's exactly what we're trying to do.
Okay.
That's
Right.
exactly what we're
Davis
trying to do.
County has to annex it first, and then South Weaver City can take it from.
Oh,
there.
all right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, I wasn't very clear.
All right.
So that's exactly what we're trying to do. We're just trying to take this piece right here, Gage.
So
And-
South Weaver will take it. or
Yes.
Davis County has to annex it first.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then South Weaver will take it from them.
Okay.
And the last piece of that is you guys have to agree to de-annex it.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
So this is kind of a three-part, well, there's lots of different parts and pieces, but it's Weber Davis, they've got to be on the same page, and then Weber City, South Weber City can annex it into their city, and we're off to the races. We can get going with our subdivision.
Well, that makes sense.
Okay.
Legally, is that, you see any issues?
No, if you're willing to do it and Davis County is willing to, Steve and Lacey already provided a template resolution. We just have to have a joint hearing with them, sign off on that together, indicate our willingness to it and we
Okay.
can do it.
Well, if they would have taken Commissioner Harvey's and used that little road you see there, we call
boundary.
I-80 West,
Freeway.
the freeway, and use that as the demarcation for Weber Davis, we wouldn't be having this little chat.
But every 10 or 15 years, we're gonna keep going back to the table. Because that moron attorney can more advise to their commissioners. And I know Chris gets mad at me for saying those kind of things in this meeting, but I hope it is publicized in the paper somewhere where he reads it. You're gonna be, sorry, I'm still not, I don't think I'm done, although
I don't think you started really.
Yeah, I'm just
Can
gonna
we go
wait.
back to this map right here?
I encourage.
Wait, this map right here, you are on that.
Yes, I'm on that map. Yep.
We're doing that.
We've just kind of blown it up. So this is Davis County, Weber County, and these are the different parcels. So we're asking for the de-annexation from Weber County of these two,
Got it.
south of I-80,
Yeah. How come we got,
84, sorry.
why have we got dirt on that side of the freeway? Harlan?
We got,
We don't need
we got
to-
all this is all in Riverdale.
No,
Sorry,
Riverdale's right here.
right.
This
Where it
dark,
is right here.
this, that dark,
That's the boundary line, Riverdale boundary.
Are you taking this too?
no, that's not ours. We don't control that one.
Be back in 10 years.
Yeah. It's my point.
Then they'll be done.
What about that little stuff right up there?
Jim, what's your holdup?
Is there interest
What
in
about
any
this?
of the rest of
Those,
those parcels?
those were already owned by South Weaver City, so it really doesn't matter.
So that's South Weaver?
They
Who
own-
owns what?
they own those
These
two
little
parcels.
pieces right here, South Weaver.
They own it. It's in your county, but
Oh,
they own
They
it.
own it.
South Weaver City owns it?
That's in Weaver County.
Would
Yes.
Davis County agree to take those as well? Has there been any
Yeah.
discussion about that?
Why don't we clean that up where we got the chance, Steve?
That would be nice. We tried that, but it was not preferred that the government do that, that it be
Landowner initiated.
yep, initiated by the landowners. That would be very nice. This was the west area of what we were trying to work on to already do this before this point. It would be really nice if those 3 or 4, however many parcels there are south of the freeway there annexed over.
Well, it'd be nice to clean it all up, but especially if that's South Weaver City, there's no reason they couldn't do that.
We totally agree with you, Gage. We'll let them do it. We'd like to just move forward with our
They
piece.
just care about their
They just
project.
Yeah, no,
Can we hear
Yeah.
Jim's holdup?
Yeah,
Okay, you, Gage, you guys.
let's hear, it. Let's hear.
One
it.
last thing, Phil, I'm gonna ask you to drive here in a minute. Could you hand that to, and then get on to Gizmo? But where's Lane Cap's piece?
Right next, Lane Caps is in.
No, he's
right
right
there,
here.
right there. So it's in Riverdale City and in South Weaver.
Yeah,
It's
that
in
one.
both cities.
So here's the line right here, right?
That black, yeah, that black line, that's right, Jim.
Okay, so I just wanna make sure, I wanna identify this parcel here in just a few moments.
Okay.
Okay.
No, there you go. Okay,
We're in business.
Okay, so let's back, okay, let me just a little bit of history. Well, I know where you are. I gotta go back, a little bit of history. Take me back to 89. Little bit of history here is that what happened a little bit ago. The reason this lot line exists where it is, Sharon, or Gage and all of you, including up in here, is that's where the Reba River used to run. Back in right after 1900 something, right, Steve?
1891 was where that line first started.
1891. So
Yeah.
we know that the Wheat River always moves. It has moved all the time. What happened is, okay, take me back to 89 again. What happened is what started pushing this is this business park here. And some of this, and this is showing a current line now, because this business park used to be like this. And we just moved this line recently. In fact, so what was proposed, these business parks, it didn't make any sense to serve it, to be in Davis County and Weber County for the people of Uinta. So we did some kind of trading in the state of Utah. The law says that if we do minor, that's why they've come to us as a minor lot line adjustment, we can do it just like they've proposed. If you do a major lot line adjustment, then it has to go to a vote of the people, a special vote of the people, and those are hundreds of thousands of dollars to do that. On their side and our side, has to be approved by a majority or a super majority. I'm paraphrasing a lot of that, but I'm getting nods there like that's correct, that's correct. So we just thought, let's just take this in chunks of a minor lot line adjustment along the way. So our thought is so that in 20 years, they don't come back again in 20 years. It's been happening since I've been alive, or since I was a kid. They keep coming back, and there's been this 200-year-old fight between Uinta and South Weaver. This is what it's happened for years.
Cities, not the counties?
It was before the counties were even established. It was the Hatfields and the McCoys, the South Weaver and the Uinta people. This is in our area, and this is just what's happened. So there's always been this land problem. I'm wanting to eliminate that by using a boundary that would likely never change, and that's the freeway. Where we take the freeway and we make the lot line along that freeway. This helps Trails Foundation, this helps everybody, so that we can make the Weber County line right along the freeway. Now stay with me. Let's move it now, Sean, this way. We had this done, Steve had done all the work, all the surveying work, and they had preliminary, we got the mayors involved, we got everybody involved, but one attorney down there gave Lorene Kamalu his own ears. He called me from, he lives in South Weaver, his name's Kendall, he called me and told me why this was a bad idea. It was only because of the Hatfield and McCoy crap from 200 years ago from a great grandpa or a great great grandpa. I did, and I basically, so he got Lorraine Kamala, we kind of squished the deal. But they were also, let's go a little further. Thank you, just to keep taking it along there, and they had just finished, keep coming a little further. By the way, just FYI, it's about, come up a little bit, I'm gonna tangent for just a second. It's about right in here. There's another stream that went through here during the high water mark where the gal went in. It's right there. So let's come here. They just put in this RV park, did all these improvements in this RV park right here. And this is the RV park.
Yeah.
So they wanted to keep this line so they could get the tax. The people in Davis County could get the tax. There's also 5 homes in here in one business. And Kendall spelled differently, excavation, that's right there. So the 5 homes, and this was bare ground, they wanted to keep in Davis County. If the line were to go here, keep coming. The line would continue here instead of, and then here we've cleaned it up. But it continue here and then go right over to here, jump. Because that takes in, that solves their problem. It solves the future problem, which is this parcel of ground. It just does everything. They just take it all away. But our next problem is going to be right back in here where the 5 homes in the new, ideally speaking. I'm just trying to help out the future commission 20 years from now, 40 years from now, 80 years from now. But that would work out fine. Something just like that. The only problems we've had in Weaver County and Uinta City, we'll talk about it all the time, is let's bring it back here. No,
Sorry.
Come on, we can get to the river. The problem is the Chendrickson, president of Lifetime Products, and these are a bunch of, what happens is they get these homeless guys that come down into here. And Davis County's not even going to get done. It's on the other side of the highway. None of the first responders want to go on this side of the highway. Bruce Turner. They all want to go on the other side of they don't want to go on the other side of the highway. Davis County doesn't want to respond over there. They will, I guess, to the RV park if need be. But in the bigger, we got it figured out with legal, how to take these in minor steps. This is a major, but if we took this year by year by year by year to get this finished, I really hate to leverage this development, but it may be one of the last cards we've got to leverage Davis County and say, come on, guys, let's just fix this for the future. But as it is right now, there's always going to be this. And Davis County says, well, let the homeowners bring that to us. They're never going to do that. They're never going to do it. It's just going to sit there and then get blocked by the government red tape that all goes there. So I just thought the right thing to do is let's just get this finished and get that all done. The work's already done for them. We've done all the work. It's all the processes are in place. It's the political is in the way.
So this project that they're bringing us falls within, it's on the south side of 84.
Sean?
Show me what it is.
Yeah, it's just, we just had it up there a second ago.
Other way. Oh, sorry, just
Gotta go
kidding.
the other way.
Keep going, I gotta go towards Riverdale.
It's just right there, that green.
Yeah, these ones right
There's
here.
Adams Avenue Parkway.
Yeah.
It's right here.
That's the piece they're talking about
So
right
it
there.
falls within what
Just that one.
you're trying to accomplish.
That one,
Yeah,
I don't understand what the holdup is then.
that little one.
This is our property line right here. And this now, the police force is in Weaver County.
I know that, Jim. You want that to be in Davis.
I don't care if it's in Davis, but
So
what
isn't
I'm
this
saying
part
is
of the piece by piece that you're talking about?
they will take this piece because it benefits them for taxes. But
Sure.
they'll never do these other pieces.
You can't hold them hostage for that.
Yeah, I guess I can. I can't, but I can also,
What they're proposing falls within the whole plan that you just described to me.
yeah, but they'll never do those other
That
plans.
doesn't matter to that landowner.
To this landowner, it doesn't ever matter.
That's
You're
what I'm
right.
saying.
But you're not, yeah, Sharon's right. If we said no to this, it's not gonna make any difference on what they do on the.
Oh,
north side.
no, you're missing my point.
I'm not,
you're
you're
just-
not.
That's dead on the right. It's not, Davis County is not gonna deal with it.
Your point is that you want the whole thing to happen, and my point is.
It shouldn't
one-
impact
it-
them.
It shouldn't,
You're right. I don't disagree with that.
so you're just giving me the backstory.
I'm giving you the backstory.
Okay,
But it's not gonna happen, not in our lifetime,
that's all.
not until, or the attorney's lifetime.
Yeah. It's
So,
just, it's a
anyway,
thing, what I wanted to do is just
we-
stick it to Davis
We
County.
spent countless hours on that 2 years ago. We're not gonna spend countless hours for a day. All right, so we're just looking for,
It wasn't countless.
just-
I could put a quantitative. hours on that.
let me put it this way, it's way too many. When Bronco gets up and starts pacing, it was way too many. That was the 5th meeting.
But we do have 7 minutes left, though.
We do, yeah, so if you
You got
want,
plenty of time. No, I'm good.
then that's countless hours. We're not gonna do this again.
Steve, I've tried.
All right,
I
so
really appreciate your work.
I'm not unappreciative of the work. I understand the backstory, which I appreciate. Thank you. But it doesn't, it's
yeah, I mean,
completely irrelevant to this request.
it makes perfect sense. Unfortunately, it's not gonna happen. I mean, let's just be honest.
My point is I would love to get some leverage using this project to get the other side done.
They could say, Davis County could care less.
Yeah, I don't know that this is leverage for them,
No, they could care less. They could just say, okay, we won't do it.
which leaves us with homeowners with lots in
Yeah.
2 counties.
Yeah, you need something big.
Which-
You need a bigger rock for leverage than this.
Which they did on those things on, not Peterson Park, not Peterson, but the other subdivision down there, because some of those get 2 tax notices down there on.
So that obviously doesn't
It
matter.
doesn't matter, yeah.
Yeah.
If this were commercial, if this was like a gas station, Jim, I would say Davis County would be super motivated to try to work something out. But with it being the backs of 4 or 5 lots, I just don't.
No, they don't, no, it's okay. It's okay.
Hit your feud, is that the one they made the movie about a few years back? Do you remember
Boy, it
that?
was real.
That you went to United movie? You seen that one?
Oh, it is part of it.
Yeah. Story started sounding familiar.
Oh my gosh.
It's a real deal.
Yeah.
People
That
die,
was crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
people die.
All right, so what are you looking for?
What's the next step? I think we need to,
Just getting together with Davis County, right? They wanted an assurance that you guys were interested again,
Okay,
so.
So the next step would be a
planning commission meeting.
public hearing between the two, a joint public hearing as Liam.
Correct.
mentioned,
It is.
between the two entities.
A lot of politics.
We can have that here at Weaver County. We can have it
we
we
did
can have
that.
it in the South Weaver
We did
Hall.
that before.
Could you
Yeah,
do
you did on
it, could you
this.
do it virtually? So they don't
Yeah.
have to actually.
Yeah, we can do it virtually.
Will you bring a road up onto South Weaver Drive when you're doing the construction, so they don't have to go through down Peters or down
We have to.
Raymond? Good.
Yeah, we have to. That's part of those plans is we have, that took forever. This project has had more hair on it than JDC almost,
Really?
in that we had to get UDOT approval to get a road to come down off. I mean, there's probably a 12 to 14 foot drop in elevation from the road. to-
Is South Weaver Drive a UDOT road?
Yes,
It is.
SR 60.
Wow.
Yeah, it's been a mess, Jim. It's been a lot of work to get this one done. It's been 2 years in the making.
So for the description of the portion that's proposed to be annexed or de-annexed from here, that's gonna be defined as from the south right-of-way line of I-84 down to the south parcel, whatever that exists as.
Right here,
Yeah.
you have the actual legal description.
That's it.
Oh, it's right here. Yeah, okay, so this is it right here. Yep, which is right on there. I don't know if it specifically calls out I-84 or not, but
Is that's not it? Oh, it does. It goes down to 80. Is it?
yeah, Jim, it's this piece right here.
So you're gonna take it down on the south side of 84, not the north side.
The south side of 84, that's correct, yeah.
That's the only.
'Cause I think UDOT-
UDOT
I think
owns
you,
in between, right?
yeah.
Commissioner Floor, though, if you can, we could figure out a way to get that little
I-
teeny piece of pie out of the way.
I'd love to have that one at the same time, but
The South Beaver one. We can talk to them.
Yeah,
We have talked to them. I think they kind of felt like it's gonna be in a park, it's gonna be open space. And as opposed to going through the brain damage and relive the Hatfield versus McCoy,
those
We'll
people
just-
don't,
we'll just not even mess
those
with it.
people only live there for 20, 30 years. That's not a big deal. They don't even know the story. They're fine. I'm telling you, I've been there 60 years. I know that, and I know those people that live in those houses down there. It's
Yeah.
not a problem.
Yeah,
They moved in from Bountiful. They don't have they don't care.
I don't have a clue.
yeah, and it's just not a big deal to them.
No.
'Cause you're right, they probably just don't.
They don't know,
understand.
they don't care.
So is the first step,
It's over.
the joint for de-annexation, is that the,
Right, we need to do a joint hearing with Davis County indicating that there's going to be a boundary adjustment. And if that hearing goes okay, then there'll be a joint resolution
okay,
that both Davis County and you will need to sign the resolution. After the resolution signed, we have 15 days to get it to the Lieutenant Governor's office.
got it. So it's a public hearing first.
Correct,
That's a joint public hearing.
correct.
Okay, probably better done on Zoom, I would think.
Would it be,
Easy.
would it make sense to do it just before one of your county commissioner meetings or I mean, I know you guys are already in meetings at that point. What would you say is the best time to schedule that?
I don't know about Davis County when they do.
I don't know when
They're
Davis County
They're
has their
Tuesday at 10.
Are they?
They the same time as ours?
They were during COVID.
Let's remember that, yeah.
15 days to get it to the Lieutenant Governor's office, yeah, after the resolution is adopted.
Okay, so we want to have the annexation plat approved by both county surveyors offices before that runs. Right?
Yes,
So that we don't-
absolutely.
So
Add
that's,
another time
so
clock.
that's the first step.
Smart.
Okay.
First step is get everybody to say they're on board. And then get it to both county surveyors offices.
Get the plats. Okay,
Davis County, didn't their surveyor's office already check
Yeah.
off and say, okay?
They didn't have any issues with, they've been looking at it.
Okay.
Okay.
So I would say, Steve, that the conceptual approval with this meeting today is checked on both county sides.
Okay.
So, and the surveyors already reviewed it. So I think once you guys have reviewed it, I think we'd be ready to get that
Let's walk over and do that right when we're done here.
scheduled. Okay, perfect.
so can you get that done, Steve?
Oh, yeah, he's,
Okay,
our guys got it dialed in.
yeah. Hang up's not
I
us.
sent him down a rabbit hole. And ended up being a piece of crap.
All right, well, let's get that done, then we can put it on the agenda, coordinate with Davis County
And then we'll
for the hearing.
get a convenient time when it works for
Did
both. of
did you find out, are they
Looks
on?
like 10, yeah.
Oh, so,
They have a work meeting at 8:30 till 9:45.
okay, we can just put it, maybe put it on one of the first agenda items, so.
Okay.
To coordinate it, we'll have to coordinate it with their
Right.
agenda.
Are you thinking during our regular meeting?
Yeah,
Good.
because it has to be it's public, might as well.
Public hearing, just has to be joint. They have to be in on it too. They have to
Yeah.
have it on their side as well. So if they're willing to,
Probably ought to have that here, because if you've seen their commission chambers, we got a little more room in case anybody came.
yeah. And if they
we're
want
close
to,
South Weaver.
we just need to talk to Davis County. Reach out to Davis County. You guys reach out to Davis County and see what time on a Tuesday.
See what
They don't have commission meeting every Tuesday, they go every other Tuesday.
They have
so
one tomorrow,
Yeah, so
so that
they,
means they'll have one in 2 weeks. So
So
we'll be
they go
looking
every
at
other
Tuesday
week?
tomorrow.
Do they?
So find a time that's convenient for them. Let us know. What date works for these guys.
June 20th each then. Okay.
Yeah, find out what they want to do. If they want to come here, that's great. If they want to do it Zoom, that's great. We'll just do. All right, here to accommodate.
Okay, that's great. Thank you very much for the time.
Thanks,
Thank you.
thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Okay, I was gonna say it. I'm not on my lunch tomorrow.
All right, that takes care of our,
I'll just share.
By the way, that property was owned by Kendall, it's developed right next to it.
I'm sure.
That was
probably-
Dr. Kendall, the veterinarian.
What?
They own that property in the.
That's a great piece of property. Sorry to take so much time off that road.
Which property?
That piece that they bought.
A good old.
Oh, yeah.
It's taken forever to do that approval, and then, it's just taken a long time. It'll be a great subdivision, but. it's taken-
How big are those lots?
12,000.
Quarters.
Yeah.
My own thing is to come up there, Brian, is I've got kids down there, so it's all personal. Yeah, it's all personal.
We even tried to go in and get them to approve like a patio home subdivision.
That'd be sweet.
Oh, it was
The corner over there, you're welcome to take a seat at the table.
All right, let's go ahead and get started again. This will be our 2 p.m. agenda item 5, discussion regarding annexation for the Crimson Ridge and annexation for Radford Hills. I'm assuming that's sewer district.
It's gonna be the Pineview West Sewer Improvement District.
Okay, for the Pineview West. Okay, Chad, Gary, Portland, back with us, Sean, and I don't see Brandon, but assuming he'll be coming. Okay, Chad, go ahead. Okay, got it.
Yeah, so it's been a little bit of a progress or a little bit of work in progress. So what we're looking at here is we got kind of 2 different developments there in the Upper Valley, kind of up above the yacht club. It's all entailed within the Pineview West Sewer Improvement District, but there are 2 different systems there. There's one that's a large underground drain field essentially, and then one Crimson Ridge which does a level of treatment before it goes into a large underground system. Both of which, the board of Pineview West, and we as the county kind of maintain and operate those systems. We have one individual that's within the Radford Hills come and request to be annexed within the district, and at that time I felt that was the best interest of everybody, with it being so close to 2 little drainages and not being able to fit a septic system on the lot. And then the other one is phase 2A, phase 2A, B, and C of the Crimson Ridge development, as well as Harborview, which is a little part of that same development right below. So all of which, looking at, we'll go through, and they've submitted petitions to be annexed within that district. And then we also wanted to kind of go through and give you a little bit of an update on the system. I know Commissioner Harvey, you asked us at one point to kind of at least get before you once a year and give you an idea of what's kind of going on up there. They have done the upgrades to the system there in Crimson Ridge and added on for the additional 3 phases within that development. Everything seems to be going pretty good up there. Haven't had any real big problems. We did have a little bit of infiltration, or a fair amount of infiltration with the runoff this year within the system, but not enough in the system to not be able to handle it, but no, it's a little bit of filtration in it. We just talked to the developer this morning, be looking at getting that drip field up and going this year, so we'll have that going, which is, it's kind of a two-part system down there, a large underground drain field, and then it has a drip irrigation. So a drip irrigation does allow for a little bit better treatment where it's taken up through evaporation rather than percolation into the ground. So it helps a little bit with the nutrients with the plants and stuff uptaking it. So with that, hope I can answer any of your questions, and went through a little bit quick on some of that.
So basically you have the request from Crimson Ridge to add additional phases.
Yep.
And you have one from Matthew Johnson.
Yep.
Is that correct?
That's
Am I
correct.
understanding that correct?
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah, and we submitted a letter. I don't know if you remember, but this letter was back in March of 2021, and that's when the design drawings were submitted to the state for approval of this system, or the upgrade of the system.
the state's approved it.
The state approved it. They haven't approved it all the way. They'll come through and do a final approval on it once the system's all the way working order and everything like that. So,
Okay,
but they approved of the design. They've been doing periodic inspections throughout the year. Robert Beers is the gentleman down in the state that does that. And so we'll be working with him on getting that final use letter for the system. So yeah, any other questions?
none for me. Commissioner Bowles? Commissioner Harvey, questions?
Thank you.
Okay,
Yeah, I don't know what we need to do or have to do. It looked like I had planned on 15 minutes, kind of a little bit of discussion beforehand and then going into the meeting itself. So I don't know if we can just jump into that meeting or.
I think, well, so in your opinion, then from the engineering, the systems in place are adequate to handle these?
Yeah, for
I
these
think the main
units.
question is the system in place to support these additions?
Yep, yeah, the developers installed and
This is
upgraded
the
the system
agenda
so they'll
for-
be able to handle all the additional units that'll be coming into it.
Okay,
I think with Radford Hills, we've looked at it pretty fairly and there was a few extra lots that could go into it. I think with this annexation and this last lot with Matthew Johnson, this will probably be about the last lot that we can allow to get on this system. So.
Okay,
yeah,
I think what we'll be looking at in the future, we're looking at doing a few projects there in Radford of getting an additional septic tank put down below there so that we can catch any sediments and stuff off the roadways. So we're not letting that get into the drain field. And at the same time, we'll probably try to do a flow meter on it. We don't have any type of flows known exactly what's coming into there. So we're just going off of the state calcs
got it.
on design and what we can allow into it. So,
And did you mention we didn't have any infiltration issues?
no, we didn't have any large issues, but yes, we did have some infiltration. A lot of times, most of the infiltration, a lot of times on this one's coming through with the snow, not allowing the water to get off the roadway and getting into
Right.
the tops of the manholes. But we did see higher flows.
It wasn't a massive subsurface groundwater infiltration. like
Came in
we
from the manholes.
experienced On other ones, right? This was mostly surface type infiltration. So,
Makes sense.
yeah, and you're gonna get some of that.
Yeah.
If we can catch it, we can plug off the tops of the manholes. It's just being there and catching it and knowing where it's at. Yeah, a lot of times.
Which is one of the big benefits of putting in the flow meters so that we can start establishing a baseline of what those flows should be, what we should anticipate, and then we'll know if we've got other issues once they jump on us.
Got it. Okay. Questions? Questions? All right, anything additional before we go into our,
No, I don't think so. Do we need to cover anything before jumping into this? I I don't think so. This was a separate meeting because it's a separate body technically, the Pineview West Sewer Improvement District Board meeting was noticed for 2:15.
So you need to wait?
specifically. So, unlike your work sessions where
Right.
it isn't publicly noticed for a specific time, you probably want to wait 7 more minutes before you
You got
start the actual
We can do
discussion.
that. The other
Right.
thing too, maybe mention to him, Chad, how many homes are connected into it, and
Oh, now you ask me.
sorry,
I think
I'm
we-
kind of putting him on the spot and throwing numbers like that, but believe it or not, as you go back into that subdivision up there, there's
Crimson or
probably,
Radford?
well, both of them, really. There's a lot of, there's a lot more going on back in there than probably most people realize as they go whizzing by on the highway down there below. There's a lot of different homes. Some of them even have accessory dwellings that they've added in. and are using as well too. So, but it's, yeah, there's a lot going on back in there.
Yeah, so right now, I mean, within the Radford Hills area, I think you're pretty close to right around 30 units that are 30 connections available. And I think most all of those are just about built on. There still are, I think, one or two that may not be built on. Within the Crimson Ridge development, you're looking at about 60 some units within yet. Right now, there's probably only about 6 or 7 that are actually connected and dumping into it with others.
And how many
Closely behind.
times a year are you and Josh servicing that system?
Yeah, so with the Crimson Ridge, it takes a little bit more. We've got to do sampling on it twice a year. So there is with the state permit, when they give us a permit, we've got some sampling requirements. So we sample with BOD, biological oxygen demand, TSS, which is total suspended solids, and then your nitrate and nitrogen levels. So right now we've been submitting those out to Central Weber. They're the ones that do the testing. I believe our limits are right around the 10 milligrams per liter to 20 milligrams per liter below that to meet for the state permits on that. Just to give you an idea, and some individuals back there might have a little bit better knowledge on what those loadings are, but your raw waste coming into the system, you're looking at closer to the 200 milligrams per liter of those nutrient loadings. So we're reducing them quite a bit, probably not quite as much as what Rob and them do over Wolf Creek by far, but it is a significant amount of reduction of nutrients in this system. So it's really good, but it takes us, we do 4 services on it a year and then take those samples twice a year. And we usually try to do an inspection on it, probably about once a week at least. So.
Okay. Good. All right. Anything else? So you guys are here for some reason. Do you have an opinion on this? We're not, typically don't take any public, but I'm gonna break the rules here since we have 5 minutes. We're close to it. So have you got opposition to this or?
No.
Oh,
We're just here out of interest.
I mean, this is the most, controversial issue. I wondered why. If you had anything to add to it, I'm happy to hear it.
Oh, Chad just wants me to take it over.
Yeah,
Was that an offer, Rob?
I tried to give them the information to do the presentation.
Who knows, someday that might connect to Osprey.
It might.
Well, I guess
Talked about.
the long-term potential is for Wolf Creek, maybe again, long-term, to possibly take that side of the valley and take it to Wolf Creek now.
Well, if you get to Radford, that pretty much takes care of that.
Yeah, if you got to Radford, if you got Osprey, and it's not that far a stretch.
When you think of where we're going from Osprey to the treatment plant.
Yeah, you consider that, you're right. Okay,
You make a good point, Commissioner, because just this morning I was talking to Sean about how our goal as the engineering department would be to eliminate these systems to where they could feed into a gravity feed system if it's cost feasible. And, to listen to Chad talk, he explains to you the maintenance and upkeep that we do on those, but there's a significant amount of time invested in all the sampling, the servicing. Just keeping an eye on it, because if you don't, it becomes a ticking time bomb for you, and you gotta just stay on top of all that stuff. So,
I think we've made it pretty clear that really not the county's job or direction to be in the sewer business. That's not our business. That's the districts to be, and we would hope that, we can set the kind of the ground rules in place that could eventually happen. But anyway, right now we have to deal with this because that's what we do, given to us. So, okay, I appreciate you showing up anyway. Miranda, did you have anything you wanted to say?
I have nothing to add at this point, except that I'm in Canada. So if there are problems at the border with the signal, I'm going to have a problem. So I'm in Canada right now on vacation.
Well, Canada is a great spot to be on vacation, so.
have a good time, man.
I would ask Gary how he's getting on with his master sewer plan. If you remember, we were supposed to have a master sewer plan. And that would be would include some of this stuff. So Gary, what about it, man?
Well, that's a great question, Miranda. So to be honest with you, the final draft copy was delivered to me about a week and a half ago, which was absolute perfect timing, except for I left on vacation for all of last week, on a vacation I'd scheduled about 6 months ago with my family. So part of that's on me for dropping the ball and being gone on vacation last week. So I apologize.
Well, what you're looking at is the inside of my camper van.
Looks cozy.
Yeah, wow.
Don't ask me, but Vancouver managed to dish up 70 to 75 degrees and sunny for us as weather, which is a little unusual up here. Anyway,
Wow.
thank you guys. Appreciate it. Have a good day.
Live it up.
Thanks, Miranda. Have a great time. Okay, I'm showing 2:15, Portland.
Mr.
So,
Chair?
Yes, sir. We're gonna go to our 2:15 with discussion regarding Pineview West Sewer Improvement District meeting. So, I don't know if we need a motion to go into that meeting, do we, Portland?
I don't think so. You, I guess could move to, what would you say, pause the commission work session?
I'll motion that we pause the work session to go to this,
All right, we got a motion to pause.
Pineview West Sewer Improvement District.
Okay, can we have a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. There's no reason I'm sure Miranda still wants, so we're not gonna cut off the members of the public, but we're now in the regular meeting of the Board of Pineview West, the Pineview West Sewer Improvement District. Commissioner Farrar, I'll call it to order. Cortland, motion to appoint officers.
The statute says the Board of Trustees shall elect from their number a chair and may elect other officers as the board considers appropriate. That's all it says, a chair, maybe a vice chair.
So who's the officer? It's all three of us.
It is the three of you who are the board members.
So
and
who's the, well, I guess Jenkins was probably the chair from the last
In
meeting.
the last meeting, the minutes showed that you were the chair, it looks
Oh.
like, and so you called it to order, and so you would probably just, any one of you could make a motion to nominate a chair.
All right. Commissioner Harvey.
I'd like to make a motion if recognized. I'd like to make a
recognized.
motion that we retain our current chair
Okay,
as the chair of this Pineview West Sewer Improvement District. And I'd also recommend that Commissioner Bolo serve as vice chair.
okay. And I'm happy to second that. Unless Commissioner Bullis rather be the chair. All right,
No,
I'm gonna place a motion. All those in favor?
aye.
Aye, motion carries. Thank you very much. Request for approval of the meeting held on February 8th, 2021. Okay, did we get copies of those? I'm sure we did.
There's a hard copy.
I was there. Harvey was there.
Well,
Hold on. I think these minutes are incorrect, Mr. Chair.
They are?
Yes, I think that when you ever appoint officers, it's by resolution. So I think, isn't it by resolution when you appoint officers, Cortland? Don't we have to do, it was unanimous, so I don't think it matters, but I just want to make sure it's not a roll call vote.
The statute doesn't say anything about that.
no,
Okay,
Jim.
just
I think we're probably all
making
right.
sure, I want to make sure we're always legal. Cortland.
I-
There's a resolution to appoint members to the board, which I believe is what happened last Tuesday. I think.
Yes,
Yeah, with Commissioner Bolas being appointed.
That's what we did last week,
Mhm.
right?
But as far as electing a chair, that's,
Okay.
as far as the statute, so we can say ask.
Just want to make sure we're legal, Cortland. You know how we are here.
We're legal. Okay, with that, I'd entertain a motion or corrections to the minutes for the meeting held on February 8th, 2021.
move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Our minutes are approved. Okay, let's go to our discussion or action regarding certifying the petition for the annexation to Pineview West Sewer Improvement District. First would be Matthew Johnson, 807 North Highway 158, Eden, within the Radford Hill subdivision, and the reserve at Crimson Ridge, which would be 4 additional phases.
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah, so what we've got, and this is a little bit of process, and I apologize, I
only get to do this about once every 10 or 15 years, so it's a learning process each of the times. And so there are some steps that Portland's given out to us, and we're now in the steps. We've received these petitions, and what we need is the board to be able to certify those petitions so we can continue on the process of the annexation. So that's what we kind of have before you. Portland's given me a little bit of a template of a letter that I'll be able to modify for each of these and then get it to the chair to sign so that we can move forward with the certification. So.
Got it. Okay, so really what we're doing, because we're expanding or annexing this in, because when we approved those original districts, it excluded the one property owner, then the additional phases. So we're just expanding the district boundaries.
Yeah, as each phase
what we're
comes
doing.
in, we're annexing those phases in, yeah.
Yeah.
Originally, I think the system, when I started here anyways, when the system originally went in 2007, we knew that these additional phases would be coming. It's just, for some reason, at the time, we didn't annex all of it in just by phase, so.
But this action is not to annex, it's to
This-
accept the petition.
This is part of the annexation process, is just to certify the petition that's coming. So there's still, what, about another 6 or 7 steps that we've got to go
Yeah.
through. We'll have some public hearings and bring this before you probably again for the final approval of the annexation, correct? And
Yeah.
it'll probably be adopted by resolution at that point.
So this is just the start of that process.
Yep.
Of step one of several steps. Correct? Okay,
And we should be able to do most of those steps for you in the background or get the meeting set up for you guys to approve of them, so.
all right. Pretty self-explanatory. All right, commissioners, questions, comments? If not, I'd entertain a motion to certify those petitions or not certify them.
Motion to certify the petitions for annexations into Pineview West Sewer Improvement District from Matthew Johnson and Reserve Crimson Ridge, is that the name of it?
Yeah, Reserve Crimson Ridge. Yep.
That's it.
Okay, we have a motion and we have a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Thanks. Chad, appreciate that.
Thank you.
Keep us, so let's go down to public comments. Anyone online, since we kind of already did that, but or present would like to make a comment. Now's your time. I'm seeing some head shake. No, so. Again, thanks for being here. All right. Final motion, commissioners.
So move to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, we're now adjourned. And we're gonna go to our 2:30 meeting as soon as 2:30, so. Again, I'm assuming you folks are kind of here for that meeting as well. Okay. Probably the only one you really wanted to attend. I got it. All right, I would entertain a motion that we saunter for 8 minutes.
So move.
Say it.
All those in favor, aye. All right. Let's go ahead and get started with our 2:30 agenda item, which would be ARPA follow-up discussion. Scott Park, Chris Crockett's not with us. Sean's with us, Wilkinson. John Bond is not with us. Stephanie Russell, thought she was coming in. Linnell and Brooke Stewart. Okay, Linnell Jensen and Brooke Stewart. Let me make sure everybody's clear. Scott, since you're first on the agenda, time's yours.
Okay, so this is a follow-up meeting to a meeting we had a couple of weeks ago where we talked
Yeah.
about ARPA and what to do with it. So just as a quick summary, and I don't know if you could minimize the box that's showing all of our pictures.
How do we do that?
Other side.
Okay, sorry about that.
No worries. Okay, so first projects are the ones that were already approved previously, and we're gonna give you an update on those. The second set are projects where we've talked about it. We have yet to officially sign the agreement for these, but these are projects that we've talked about a lot. The third set are projects. My mouse is slow for some reason. See if I can do that. These are projects that initially applied and we said no. We passed on them. So we're just gonna bring those up just to your attention in case you've decided that there is anything that you wanted to continue to fund or to look at funding. These, and Brooke will then go over some of these projects where we talked about if we have nowhere left to spend the money and we have a project that we've approved that falls through, what could we essentially double obligate? What are some projects that we know are eligible? That these would be the backup plan in case one of the previous tabs falls through, then we can fund these. And then our last set are some requests that have come in since we started our projects, and there were 3 more that came in today from Marriott Slaterville. 3 more sewer projects. So I haven't added those to the list yet, but we just want to know what you want us to do with those. We do have some concerns about just funding these 3 because we haven't opened it up to everybody. So there could be allegation or people saying that this wasn't fair because if we just consider these 3. So if we have enough money that we want to consider new ARPA applications, we would recommend that we actually open it up to everybody and let them apply and then reevaluate, re-rank them. Otherwise, we'll be opening up ourselves to some complaints that, well, how come this person got.
You're talking about the 3 that came in today I heard about.
So there's these 3 Encircle, Wildlife Rehabilitation Center and Weaver Housing Authority, plus 3 that came in today for Marriott Slaterville.
Got it. Okay.
So if you're okay with that order, we'll start with Brooke. Brooke, if you just want to kind of talk about this and I can move up and down however you'd like.
Thank you. So commissioners, what we've done based off of the feedback that we received and direction from the last meeting was added a couple additional columns on this approved ARPA projects. So what you'd asked for was a column to be added, which was the award / request difference. So that would be what they originally requested in funding and what we actually awarded them. So that's the difference in funding there. And then the other column that we added is the award / total cost difference. So the difference there would be the difference between the total cost of the project and what was awarded. So we've added those in. I don't have many more updated statuses on the projects that are approved more so than what we did the last meeting. So we have the few that had some additional amounts that they needed, but we had solid numbers on them. There are other projects that are still waiting for bids to come in. So those will be done late spring, summer. One of them is even early next year. So we've got those marked on the columns. If you want to scroll, Scott, that would be great.
Scroll the writer.
down. So you've got 3 million for the Children's Justice Center. You've got 206,000 for Green Hills Water and Sewer. That was for the design. They were applying for funding through a state grant, and I believe that they would receive those funds. So in order for them to move forward, they've asked for that extra 200,000 for them to complete the design.
That's,
5,000.
that's, excuse me, so that's just for Green Hills project.
Yes,
Is that for their well or?
that's for the well.
Okay, got it.
But they were changing over, so it's the maple pump to, I can't see here, so it's for the engineering study that was going to help them determine what their water quality issues were, and they were moving to
Okay, so what does the 206 get for?
design.
That's a design.
Mhm.
Just design, no construction.
So,
They would get construction dollars from the state.
So it's
On-
designed
on
for
low
their new
interest
treatment
loan.
plant. Their
so
water.
does that fall under the Treasury Act for design? Because when we deal with the state,
Yes,
LMSA, they said no design.
for them, but that's the Water Quality Board's decision.
Yeah,
That was only for
Okay.
them. We can use this for.
all right.
Yeah.
So that was their decision, not necessarily the treasury.
That's right.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, thank you.
Yeah, so this is for
Okay,
design of their water treatment plant. And then the 5,000 was just the gap that the nature center had in their broadband upgrade. So those are just the small amounts, and then it feels go lower. So
Go down or?
Yeah.
Okay.
you'll see the ones that say to be decided, those are when our bids are coming in, and the others didn't mention any needs that they had at this time. You can keep going until we find another. So one application I did want to make you aware of from Wolf Creek Water and Sewer for their reused water storage pond project. They submitted an amendment request for their application requesting an additional $1 million in funding. The district reported that their wetland study was ongoing, and they identified location constraints back in May. So the area that the wetland mitigation that they had planned as potentially where it was going, they need 3 acres more on the south side of that parcel. And so they're looking at reciting that. So in discussions with their design consultants and the corporate engineers, the mitigation, permitting and review of that site could take approximately 2 to 3 years. So that surpasses the time limits that we would have for those ARPA funds. So they revised the location on that same parcel. However, the topography is steeper, so they require additional cut and fill, higher earth dam structure, and then some more robust dam features, such as a concrete spillway for that project. So the total cost of the impact of relocating or reciting that is 3.9. The district is only requesting an additional $1 million, and they would take part in that other 2.9. So the final one is the impact project that could use 326 with our roof repair issues that they have ongoing there. So I'd be happy to go into any further detail on any of these projects. If you have any questions.
so what's your total if you just look at the additional funding?
So there's a formula error here. I just noticed
I
on
didn't
there.
see
So
a
I'm just
total.
gonna take the original award minus the request. So on that instance, okay, so. So here we have the difference between what was awarded and what was requested is $2.3 million, almost $2.4 million
Yeah,
in total. And then the award minus the total cost. Let's see if I can find that. That's better to see. $9 million. But we never anticipated funding all of them.
correct. I mean, that's if we took their total
That's if we
request.
took everything, yeah.
Yeah.
But what, between what they asked for and what we funded, that was about $2.3 million.
Got it. Okay,
So if we were to go back and say, look, we're gonna fund you up to what you originally asked, so we'd give, for example, Buena Vista Hot Springs another $500,000 to bring them up to their original request, or whatever percentage you wanted to do.
okay,
So that just kind of gives you so we're still tracking, a lot of these costs have not yet come in, and so I guess I'm worried that the construction costs are gonna be a lot higher than what they projected 2 or 3 years ago. And so we're just watching, but until they get the bids in, we just won't know what the costs are. We had some pretty wild swings when we were even looking at that at Wolf Creek between what the engineering estimates were and what the bids actually came back for on certain pieces. And there's some big swings, big differences between there. So it just, until we get the bid actually out and back, we won't know for sure what they're gonna cost.
right.
Yeah, so the ones that we might want to watch out for, or just be looking for updates on, and I'll keep in contact, is Powder Mountain Water and Sewage Project. Their bids should go out this summer, so they should have numbers on what the difference is if there is one. Also, Weaver Basin Water, and their timing is going along with the 12th Street reconstruction project, so that's why their bid is set more for January. And I don't have this sheet on mine because I think we're in a shared file, but you look and see if there was one other, the ones that say to these, Bona Vista was the other. And their bid should be coming out this spring.
Okay. So Scott, when do you think we'll have enough information to make a decision based upon bids or substantiated cost?
So unfortunately, I don't think it's gonna be, I think spring is optimistic on some of these projects. I'm worried that it's gonna go all the way to 24. Or even to the end of 20. I mean, I'm worried that we're not gonna even know the full cost of these things until we have passed our internal deadline of June 30th on some of these projects, just because of how fast they're coming back. So a lot of these projects we asked, we're not the only player, we're not the only ones giving them money for this. They have some funding. So I guess I would reach back and ask them as these costs come in and say, how can you make up the difference?
Yeah.
Because if I'm promising you $1 million and you now need to come up with another 3 million and you're not going to be able to come up with it, well, then maybe this project, unfortunately, we'll just have to take that $1 million and reallocate it to other projects.
It's a cost.
Yeah, and we may have to do that with a couple of projects if costs on all of them come back in. Now, how do we do that? How do we prioritize that? I don't have the answer to that. I'm hopeful that most of the projects would be able to come up with some additional funding, either through another type of loan through the Water Quality Board or some additional funding from some other sources, that we wouldn't have to abandon any of these projects. But we don't have enough money, depending on how much it comes back. We only have so much money. So we could continue to hold off and wait till we see all these costs come back and leave that $15 million unallocated. The problem is, let's say things are a little bit better than I thought. And so instead of spending all $15 million, we spend up $5 million. Well, then I've got $10 million that I didn't obligate, and now I have to turn that back into the feds. So there's risk on both ways. So what our thought is that we'll be aware and continue to track and watch these projects. And as soon as we get updated cost information, if there's anything more than what we had originally funded, we'll ask them, how do you plan to make up the difference? If they don't have an answer, then we'll have to bring it back to you guys and talk and see what we want to do.
Okay.
But Scott, I'm thinking the reason why we put priority on these is because we don't want half-finished projects, but I don't know, did any of them really stand out as they couldn't complete them with the funding we've already given them? I mean, we just thought if they can't, then we'll give them more money. That would be a priority, but Green Hills did mention that they didn't think they could move forward. They have a really small fund balance, a really small amount of users, so that 206 is critical to their project. But the rest of them, I'm not sure on Wolf Creek. I saw the amended application, but I'm not sure if they would be able to move forward without $1 million or not. That's a question I have to ask them. And I believe the others probably could.
Okay,
Can I ask a dumb question?
go ahead.
Everyone knows me well enough to know I'm really good at dumb questions. Is there a way to rate these requests at a prorated cost versus how many population each project would benefit? Maybe a cost per capita type approach? Was that looked at in your ranking?
I
We
think
did, yes.
They looked at that.
Did you?
That was one of the criteria when we did our
That was the
initial
criteria.
rankings to get them on this list, was the
Yeah.
cost per user,
Okay.
basically. So some of these projects do have a huge cost per user and rank lower because of that.
Yeah.
I think, as I recall, the Liberty Well and the Willow Creek Well, just because they don't have any users, they just ranked low enough. But because the request wasn't so high, commissioners at the time decided to add them to the list because there's no other way to get these projects done. And the amounts weren't super high at the time.
Right.
But yes, we did consider that in our initial application.
Sorry, dumb question. I apologize
No,
for asking late in the game.
So what we could do, and so we have $15 million. We could fund the $2 million, or we could just wait and see and say, maybe we're going to pick the few that really need the money to continue on, the 200,000 for the Green Hills, maybe the $1 million for the Weber, excuse me, I was going to say Wolf Creek. Sorry, yes.
And CJC too, I you guys know more about that one, but I didn't know.
Yeah. And that as well. So the CJC, that one has the $3 million request. And we talked about that one in a separate meeting.
We have, So so what does that $1 million do for you guys?
We had to move that, kind of relook at where that pond was gonna fit because of the wetlands.
Okay.
So because of the delays and whatnot, this will help in that funding. We've also got some other funding from other sources for that project as well.
Okay.
So the question I would ask is, if you don't get that additional $1 million, can you still do the project?
Well, we're kind of same as everybody else too, you know, where are these costs in? And we just had a meeting with our engineer this morning, and that's their next task, you know, tell us where we're gonna be.
Okay. When can you get that to us?
Probably within 30 days.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Brooke will continue to monitor and follow up on these. We do have our quarterly check-ins with all of them as per ARPA agreement. And so, you know, as we get updated costs, we can bring that back to you. But I think we do want to leave a certain amount, now what that number is, I don't know, but a certain amount aside in contingency to finish these projects. We don't want to get to a part where we're halfway through a project and can't finish it. But I don't think we need to leave all $15 million.
No.
So let's just placeholder $2 or $3 million for these projects, depending on what you want to do with the CJC or not. That would be 2 or 5 or 2 or 3 or 6. We have these other projects that have come in, and I just wanted to hit those. Now, I split these up a little bit based off of our ARPA project questions. So I'll just hit these quickly, and we can talk about any of them in detail if you want. So the Little Mountain Service Area, we're requesting $300,000 to cover the construction, management, and the engineering costs. So the state is willing to fund up to $5 million for that, but they are not willing to fund for the design and the management. So for $300,000, we can get up to a $5 million project. So to us, that one ranked high as, you know, for a little bit of match here from our side, we can get a whole bunch of value from the state.
Yeah. And we've got there's no question we have to pay that design.
Correct.
Yeah, I tried our best.
Multiple ways.
Okay.
Shut down.
But $300,000 is for what we could get out of there.
No, that's a type of ratio I like.
Yeah. We also have the line scoping and the repair. So that's up to $2 million to help with some infiltration issues up there to make sure that, you know, we're putting all this money into improving the sewer lagoon. We got to make sure that the waste can actually get to the lagoon.
And I apologize for not having an exact figure. They haven't been able to scope the lines because of the flooding out there. So we should be able to get the lines scoped in the next 2 weeks, and I'll have a more definite number. I just wanted to make sure it was in the pipe.
Yeah, good. Okay.
The next one is the Powder Mountain Water Improvement. So this is a separate Powder Mountain project. This is the lift station, force main, and sewer lagoon improvements. The total cost is $9.8 million, of which they are asking for $5 million. So about 50% of that. Costs are kind of broken out to the side mobilization, $600,000, the rehabilitation of the lagoons, $4.1 million, and then the regional lift station of about $2.5. There's some other costs in there too. But this is a project, and you've seen that application that's coming. We've talked about it several different times. It's kind of a regional solution to the sewer up there. I can pull up more information on that. I can show you the map depending on how interested you are in that one. We can talk about it.
The intent on that one would be to allow the northern part of the valley,
Right.
Liberty, everything to flow into that.
Got it.
Yeah.
So Eden Sewer Service District isn't a real district. That's what I'm calling the, if I can just say John Lewis, or can I say it that way?
Yeah,
What's
the Eden Sewer Service Area. I
Yeah.
guess.
It's not a separate district. So all the infrastructure would be owned by Wolf Creek Water, but I'm calling it that to separate out their
Right.
requests to make them clear.
Say that again. All the stuff would be owned by Wolf Creek?
Yeah, at the end of the day, Wolf Creek will be the sewer provider, but the developers have to put in infrastructure that will then be owned by Wolf Creek. Does that make sense?
Would we have to form a new district?
No, this will be
Yes.
part of Wolf Creek's district.
Okay.
Yeah, and we don't want to form a new district up
Correct.
there, so we
don't.
take over it.
So this is kind of the agreement that you guys had with John Lewis or
Sewer service.
discussion? I don't
Yep, exactly.
I don't know if there was it an agreement or was it discussion?
It was an agreement.
There is a
There's a
signed
contract.
So there is a sign, okay.
So when the applications came in from Wolf Creek and from, I'm gonna just call it Eden Sewer, there was some overlap and, they were both
Yeah.
bidding to do a certain part of it and they had some different costs on there. So how I've listed it up here, and we could always decide, change who it is, but the Brown lift station and the lines, the Osprey Ranch lift station and the lines, and the connection to the Kobe Ranch would all be under, the developer. The county would make a contract with the developer to fund the infrastructure improvements, and at the end of the day, once the infrastructure is completed, it would go to Wolf Creek. That's about $4.4 million. So the whole total cost is 4.8. They've paid about $500-ish thousand so far. So I just used the math and said, okay, well, 4.3 is what they would need to finish it. Oops. It's the one bad thing about internet phones.
Okay,
So that would get, and that was the high priority for both Wolf Creek and for the developer, was to get that, the ground lift station and lines in the Osprey Ranch, the Osprey sewer lines and lift stations, and then that line to the Kobe Ranch was a priority for the developer. So that's about $4.4 million. Then for Wolf Creek, their next highest priority was the gravity lines from the junior high to the four-way stop, and that was about $653,000.
okay,
After that, Wolf Creek had some other requests on there. If they could get some additional funding, they would like to do the new Eden gravity line lift station laterals. That's about 1.45 million. Then also to the old Eden gravity line lift station laterals. That one's a little over $2 million.
so that, hold on, so the new Eden gravity line, what does that cover?
So I can pull up the map. I'm not as familiar with the geography up
So
there.
just,
Sean.
I'll understand.
Yeah, let Rob speak.
I think that one,
So you don't go to the junior high,
no, that was in a different.
yeah, so where do you go with
I
that
think that
request?
one was taken to the four-way with gravity back to the ground lift station.
Okay,
Where exactly is Brown Lift Station?
It's out in the middle of the field.
Where it's over on the way to, so if you leave the four-way stop and you head east, start to wrap around the corner a little bit, it's not far.
Hugh Shaw's place up there? Across the street from Shaw's and another 200 yards back
Got it.
in the old farm field.
right off the
Next to
road,
Dave
right?
Brown's farm.
Yeah.
No, it's back in quite a ways.
Is
It's
it?
back in probably 100 yards.
Okay, all right,
Okay, got it. Thanks.
so that's the lift station.
That's the lift station, yeah.
Give us the status of that lift station.
So the lift station is designed and some of the parts are ordered. Some of the parts had 6-month lead time, had to come from Germany. So they've been ordered, just waiting for them to come in and I think we just finished the building design and we'll be submitting for land use permit for that probably this week or next.
Right in here.
And it's ready to start construction right now.
Okay,
And we could have it completed by November latest.
but the plan is to have Wolf Creek own that lift station,
Correct.
Yes.
right?
We'll give them the land. Once it's all finished, we'll just dedicate it all over.
So there's no question on timing for completion.
No.
Okay, what about, Rob, what about timing for those two gravity lines that you,
So I misspoke a little bit. So we had the line from the junior high back to the four-way. And then back behind where the car wash,
yeah,
that was that 1.4 extension. There'd be a lift station, take all of that gravity down to the bottom, then pump it back up to the gravity line.
okay,
So I'd
so
take
you
that-
say behind the cart, does that take in everything
all that commercial area?
west of all the businesses like Golden West and
Yes,
the Mad Moose and Maverick?
yes.
Okay. Okay, so
Isn't there a couple of residentials in there too?
They're on the main road going to the county shop. And I'm not, they may have to have their own pump station. Cause this goes down just, that's outside of the commercial.
yeah, so that gravity line, correct me if I'm wrong, is basically for the commercial enterprises, what we call Newtown East.
Yes, correct.
Is that right? Okay. Okay, I'm with you. You know what we're talking, the area we're talking about, okay. Okay. And so timing, you said, Rob, you don't have an issue on timing for completion?
No, a lot of this other pieces have got to go in before these will be.
Yeah.
Viable, obviously,
Yeah,
but this has not gone out to bid. It's just been engineer's estimate.
okay. And how soon do you think you can come up with the final actual number?
I don't think it'd take that long to get that.
So, okay,
The remainder.
all right. Okay,
Rob, that would also give the assisted living center as well, too, right?
yeah,
Everything would go all through that area and flow down to the very bottom. And then pump back up to the gravity line. Okay.
Do you own the property at the very bottom down there? Who owns it? Private?
Tom Summers has just bought 2 pieces, haven't approached him yet on it yet, but somewhere down there, or it'd be
possibly on the county road.
What about the county yard?
Maybe.
Okay,
But there's about 40 businesses that would hook onto that.
I was gonna ask you the number.
Approximately 40, I think, is what we were estimating.
So that takes quite a few septic tanks out of commission.
Yeah.
Well, it takes some, you know, I don't know if this is one of the issues that's holding any new development in there, but if you figure somebody wants to come in there and build a building, but a third of the property's gotta be used for septic system,
Yeah,
you know, well, then that's not the location I need to build in. So if there's sewer in there, I think that opens up a whole new opportunity for those vacant
good
lots.
point. I don't disagree with that.
That's a lot of nutrients that's taken out of septic tanks.
Pretty close to the
Going
river
into
too.
those
down there.
reservoir.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm just, if we look kind of what I call bang for the buck, that seems like it's fairly logical. In terms of taking nitrates
Right,
out.
yeah, getting the nitrates out, that's a huge reduction in
Some of those
nitrates.
folks are pretty anxious to get in there, and get
Yeah.
involved with this too.
What's that?
Some of those folks are really anxious to get involved, dentist office.
The dentist is one kind of.
Yeah, they want to get involved in this.
Yeah, the point I just
Yeah.
made, they want to expand their building and they can't,
Right,
because it's not where their septic tank is.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. Okay,
The key to all of those is getting the brown lift station and the force main up to Wolf Creek done,
right.
because then they can all connect.
yeah, you gotta have the brown lift station
Yeah,
and the force main,
and the force main out,
Yep.
yeah.
or that doesn't, or that plan doesn't work.
Right.
Yeah, just be a
Right.
pipe that went nowhere.
Yeah,
And all that you've got capacity currently to be able to handle that.
Well, we're looking at expanding the plant right now, that's being engineered.
Then what my question? I know you are. You have capacity currently to handle that.
Yes.
Okay.
good question. Okay. Yeah, that's one thing we wanna be careful of. We get everything in place, then we don't have capacity. That doesn't do us much good either.
Can I go out on a limb?
Yeah,
Skinny branch, maybe?
one of the skinny branches, I like
I
that.
like guy my size getting out on them skinny branches. It's exciting. One of my concerns with the operation, Rob, I'm looking at you. I know them. I know the property where you would need to expand your operation is owned by Summit, Powder Mountain. Would they sell?
We're approaching them right now.
So the answer, you don't know.
I don't know, but you know, we have the power of eminent domain as well if we need to use that. We don't want to. We made that very clear.
Okay. So that would be a deal right there is you'd have to acquire that property one way or the other, and then the expansion for all this other.
Not necessarily, because part of it, of this expansion can be used on the ground that we currently have.
Okay,
Just trying to be mindful of future generations,
absolutely.
because right now we are landlocked. And before anything build on that property and then have to go take it down, we don't want to have to do that.
Sure. Yeah, and I agree. Right now, did they use it last year for a parking lot or did it sit vacant?
So they-
Okay, that's interesting. Okay, thank you. I think whoever put that in originally, that plant in the blue did it. Brilliant ideas and how that's all done is good. But I worry about that expansion, just not knowing with all the continually moving pieces up there at the top of the mountain, how that works. You know, and I would hate to see litigation hold up a need of the sewer district for 5, 6, 10 years. Just whether you have eminent domain or not, that could be that would maybe be something that you work out sooner than later. I would have more confidence in where the district is moving forward if that piece of property were in your position earlier than later. I'll just say it like that.
For what we're talking about here, I think the expansion can be taken care of on our property.
Great. I just think, so if we're putting in millions of dollars and we're getting ready to think about putting in more millions of dollars, I would want that, having that land to be a pretty big key for me. Big key. Just the whole thing, the whole dynamic of what's going on.
Sure.
Yeah, we just want a working system at the end.
Yeah,
What
well,
you're saying.
at the end of this and at the
Yeah.
end of 10 and 20 years
Yeah.
and
Can I
50
make a,
years.
can
I'm
I
with you.
butt in? It's
I'm
Miranda.
not the chair.
Miranda, go ahead.
I'd like to support Rob in what he said. He said that we are working with them. To be exact, we already made them an offer. And I would say it's more a case that I've told them we would like to get this resolved within 60 days. So we don't intend to hang about with this. We're going to move forward. But I would reiterate what Rob said, which is that we are able to expand the plant partially within the current footprint, enough to deal with all of the stuff that we're talking about here today. What we're doing with the additional space is giving ourselves some flexibility for the long term, because we don't see this thing stopping. I hope that helps.
Okay. Yep, go ahead, yeah.
Chair Menzies, how was your offer received?
They are using an additional person as a middleman. And at this point, I don't believe that I feel we have got a clear communication of any sort directly to the board, because they've had so many changes in personnel up there and changes in organization. It's a little bit of a difficult organization to work with.
If I may follow up.
Yeah.
Did you choose the middleman or did they choose the middleman?
It is their contractor, Dason Johnson, who acts on real estate issues for them.
Thank you. That's all. I got
And-
that. And that helps me a lot.
That help you?
And-
Because I think, we have some opportunity in the next several weeks, and that's gonna be a question that we ask them. I'm gonna ask.
Yeah, no, it's a good question.
We have
Okay.
actually directly sat down with the general manager, Kevin Mitchell, also. So we're trying every avenue we can come up with, gentlemen.
The fact that you've been engaged is encouraging. Thank you.
Yeah, like to see that cooperation. Okay, anything else, Miranda?
No, sir.
Thank you. Okay, Scott.
Couple more things on here really quick. So we talked about the two different sewer lines, the gravity lines, New Eden and Old Eden. Then there was some additional requests. I split that off for the culinary water and secondary water for the developer to help with some of those areas. I just kind of.
And that Eden sewer service is the same on line 6. Line 10 and line 6 is the new.
Yeah, I put them in priority. What they put is requested as their priority. So Eden Sewer and Wolf Creek both have that ground lift station as their highest priority. And so I just kind of rank it that way. But the reason why I also put the culinary water and the secondary water at the bottom is we really haven't talked much about the culinary and secondary water. We've been primarily focused on the sewer, so we haven't done a thorough vetting of those. With the secondary water, it may be eligible, it may not be eligible, depends on what, I mean, it's possible that it is eligible, but we haven't even done a detailed dive into it. But the reason why we haven't done that yet is if you look at what this spreadsheet, the request, that's $18 million. We only have 15 million minus whatever we've set aside as a contingency for the first half. So we don't.
This is 18 if you total these?
If we
My
did
next
everything.
question.
Yeah, so we don't have enough capacity to do all of this. And minus out whatever we wanted to do from the first tab, so we may only have 50 cents on the dollar for the requests here. So we were hoping to get some priority from you as to which projects you're interested in funding, and maybe it's just, I'm just making up things here. If we just want to do the ground lift station and the gravity line to the four-way stop, then we would know what to look at and what we could fund. Or if you want to go plus the New Eden gravity line, then we would kind of have a scope of what you wanted to do. So that's what we're hoping towards the end of the day to get from you, is how far you want to go. And that way we can do our thorough vetting of all these projects to make sure that they're eligible and, and figure out what we can fund on them.
Yeah, Commissioner.
Yeah, Rob.
So we didn't talk about the old Eden. New Eden was all the new commercial. Old Eden is Carlos and Harley's.
Yeah,
Heading that direction. I get a call probably every other week from Carlos and Harley's because the health department will not let them expand their septic tank. So they can't add any more seats in that restroom. So they're kind of desperate to hook on as well. So just wanted to.
so go,
Well,
what's,
they could expand their.
where's your old town?
Let them.
They won't let them.
They don't have the property.
Is that your 2 million? Let me just get this right. So for Old Town, you're looking at 2 million. Take into account as far south as Carlos and Harvey's. Not,
I believe that one went to the elementary.
did that go to the elementary?
Which one was that? What line item?
This one right here.
No, the old Eden only goes to Eden Park, to the Bowery, Rob. We nixed the Valley
was your new
Elementary
town,
because
Rob?
it was so expensive.
Newtown was a new commercial area.
Yeah, but what, go back up to Newtown, Scott.
Okay, this one right here.
That's back to car wash, all
Okay.
those new lots.
All right, so
Old Town, you're going the other direction.
3.5, just rounded, let's call it 3.6 to be, get you Old Town and Newtown. Is that
So
correct?
just to the Bowery, Brenda just corrected me, to the Bowery at Eden Park. So the lift station would go there.
Yeah, yeah.
And then if we ever did decide to go further to the elementary, that lift station would be picked up and put over there, more gravity to that one.
Would you let any of the residents connect that would be east of Carlos? Yes.
East and north, they could run their own lines and gravity feeds 2 years, right? It's gonna be, depending on where the gravity line started on that one.
Okay.
So if we started at Carlos and Harley's, that could be expanded, but the gravity's gonna head southeast. Until it gets to the lift station, then pumps back
Okay. So is that a pressure line then from Carlos?
from Bowery.
From the back?
It's gravity to the Bowery,
Oh,
pressure back to gravity that flows into Brown.
okay.
And goes to the plant.
Got it. Okay. All right, got it.
So there was a question, did we rank these projects? So what Sean and I did, we reviewed them, and I went through and I ranked these projects using the priority scoring that we had developed originally.
Right.
I did over here, sorry, that's why I'm answering the question. So we went through the ranking and ranked them according to the projects. The only reason why they scored a little bit lower than some of the other ones is the match. So we had higher points for 50% match and so on. So it depends on how, it wasn't quite clear from some of the applications as to what the match would be. So for example, up here, this Eden Sewer, the Brown Lift Station, if the cost was 4.8 million, you'd spent, or the developer had spent 500,000, and so there was 4.3 left, but there was no real discussion of, okay,
What is a lot missing out of there, though? I mean, there's all the land in kind that we're contributing. There's all the upsizing that we've already done prior to that. So I mean, that's, we can get into a lot more detail, come up with a lot more match.
yeah, and we talked about that on Friday, but we just don't have all that information. So I ranked them as though it was a $4.8 million project and they were asking for 4.3, so with a very small match.
Yeah, no,
But I'm aware that there's more that
It's more like an 8 million.
Yeah, I think they've got more than that into it.
Yeah, but otherwise they rank comparable to the other sewer projects.
Yeah.
A little bit lower too because of the cost per user, but
Right.
still. within the
So
ballpark.
does Wolf Creek have any access to other funds, i.e. state or other opportunities, grants, et cetera? So let's say we were able to fund part of this. Does that do you any good or not? Because I think what we're really saying and what you're hearing is we'd like to see some other skin in the game besides the counties.
I think the concern that we've got on this, I'd like to take this question if you don't mind. The concern we've got is that we are already pretty indebted because of building the sewage treatment plant. And that is what we are currently paying off, is all of the originally 8 million that was paid out for the sewage treatment plant. So until some of the existing debt is paid off, taking on other debt is not, we have to have some debt that we're planning on for the reuse pond. But then taking on more debt for the sewers becomes difficult because there aren't that many businesses hooking on. Now, if we have a bunch of residents as well, then you can start to fund stuff. But we haven't seen the residents want to hook in.
They're not gonna wanna hook in.
Mostly, probably not.
No. But I think over time, if we set a,
Yeah.
so that's helpful, but that's, yeah.
But the sewer district will have revenue. Let's talk about those 40 businesses. There's gonna be an impact fee plus revenue coming in from the 40 businesses.
That'll be to maintain the system,
Okay,
not to fund the initial
yeah,
construction of the business, so.
okay,
So I don't, and we, as a board, we don't want to burden our existing customers with additional responsibility or liabilities for the new Eden sewer service area.
That makes sense.
yeah, no, I get that.
That's why it's being designed to be its own, it's all under our umbrella, but it's its own service area.
That's where you get the New Eden field part of that too. That makes sense.
Okay, what else, Scott?
So if commissioners, you are interested in funding tab 1 and tab 2, we have more than enough in requests to use all the additional money. If you would like to continue to look at additional options, tab 3 lists all the projects that we originally said no to. Tab 4 lists projects that we talked about as in if we commit to all these other projects on tabs 1 and tab 2, and one of them falls through because the cost estimates come back too much. Tab 4 as well, we've already obligated that money a second time for these projects. Basically, it's a place to make sure that we don't lose any money. These are projects that have already been completed or are almost completed, and they could use additional funding, but they're going to be fine without it.
Yeah.
So this is kind of like our backup plan if I'm just going to pick, let's say Taylor West Weaver Water, if for any reason we have Green Hills in it, we fund that and then it falls through at the very end, they can't get it done in time. We've already obligated that money for Taylor West Weaver Water in addition to Green Hills. And so then we can essentially move that obligation and funding there. So this is a backup plan, so we don't have to lose any funding in case something falls through. So they
Well,
wouldn't get it, if
yeah.
everything works as we planned, they wouldn't get any additional money.
What's tab 5?
Tab 5 are additional projects that have been requested that have not really gone through any vetting process. So this was in Circle, which is a not-for-profit, the Wildlife Rehabilitation Center, which I worry is not eligible.
I
at
thought
all.
we decided that's not eligible.
It's likely not eligible, but we haven't done the official evaluation on yet.
Okay,
Weaver Housing Authority could use $2 million for that new Meadow, I believe it's called Meadowbrook housing. But they're trying to find funding in other ways. And then we had 3 requests come in today from Marriott Slaterville for sewer. They were about $500,000-ish each to run sewer lines back and forth, but I haven't put them on here.
But okay, so will you just go back to the line where you were talking about the prioritization, where you and Sean sat down, but they met the criteria?
So are you talking just on these new projects,
There you
right?
go to the top. That's it. Thank you. Tab 2.
Yep.
okay. And what did you say the total of this was?
The total request
Tab 2?
was $18.6 million.
Just this tab?
Just this tab.
Okay.
And we legitimately could spend, without blinking an eye, $5 million on that first tab. If we were to fund the CJC building and then leave $2 million in contingency for all the rest of those projects that we've already funded.
CJC is on tab 1.
CJC is on tab 1. It is right
I got
here. So if we gave them an additional $3 million and then left another $2 million out for this, so then we've just spent 5 of our
So you
15,
get 10 million left,
10 million left, and we've got 18 million in requests
okay?
just on tab 2.
That's a little problematic.
Do you have a money stretcher?
Just means we've got lots of good projects.
We have lots of good projects.
We can
So
prioritize those.
we can,
Okay.
and we can look at this and say, look, we're interested in sewer and solving the sewer system up there, and then leave the culinary water and secondary water as, develop
Well,
matches.
I
and
think
there's
we
lots of
turned,
things.
we turned secondary water down on that first phase.
Mhm.
Yeah, so we went through that discussion before and decided, let's concentrate on sewer first, culinary water second, broadband third,
Mhm.
which fits under the categories of the Treasury
Agreed.
Act.
Agreed.
So that's what we had ample discussion on the last couple of years, right?
Ample. Unless you want me to go into another diatribe. Unless you want me to go into another diatribe.
Yeah,
Now we got,
Yes.
we got 10 minutes, help yourself.
yeah. That's why we think it may be eligible, but.
All right, Commissioner Bolos, questions, comments? Commissioner Harvey,
I got a statement to make here in a minute.
okay, I'll give you a minute.
Okay, I'm ready. I think I can make a couple of statements right away.
Okay.
We know we need the LMSA. That's critical.
Right.
To the majority of the people that we're going to help.
You're talking about the step.
Line 1 and 2.
Engineer, well,
Yeah,
talking about the
line 1's in a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Me.
because we got 5 million sitting in the bank, would you pay,
Yeah,
you know,
no, yes.
2% to
Yeah.
get that access? Yeah. Okay,
So that's a no-brainer. That's.
You okay with that? I agree with that.
And I think we need to get that, the next, since it scored so high, I think we need to go to line 4 and up to 2 million. We don't know what that is. I'm really solid on those two right now.
Okay,
And
and hold on, so we'll have that number for infiltration 60 days, 30 days?
Probably less than 30 days,
All right,
yeah,
all right.
so we're meeting with them on Wednesday.
We can just put that as a placeholder for now. And just,
That just seems like a high number.
sure does to me. It's a big, yeah.
Well, we've got an LMSA meeting tomorrow, right, Stephanie?
Wednesday, yes.
Wednesday, okay.
Yeah, Wednesday.
Okay, excuse me, go ahead.
Oh, but those two are pretty easy for me to get to, right away. I like the next, I like. Our folks, our staff came up with a fairly good comprehensive way to score these projects. And I like supporting them, and so I can just keep going, clicking off the list. The next one down, the next one down, the next one down, just keep going this way. I could just keep going.
and let me just clarify on that, Commissioner Harvey, that these aren't in score ranking order, because some of these projects rank really close to the same. I have no, so I just then,
Oh,
I just put them in, grouped them in order based off of their priorities, when they were ranked, so we did the low, medium, high. I'm not ranking them, this one got 26, and this one got 25.5.
I thought I heard you say they were ranked in order.
They're ranked, but they're not, so you've got a bunch of them that are high, or a bunch of them that are medium high, but inside the medium high category, I didn't rank them. I just put them in order of what their priorities were, as I understood it.
Thank you.
So
I
they,
don't disagree with your first two. We'll have numbers on the infiltration situation here. So here's what I'd like to do, Scott. I think the first thing we need to do is go back to your tab 1. And you brought this up, your first conversation, for those ones we've granted. Ask them in detail. We want something, as close to concrete as we can get it. What are you anticipating cost? Will this solve your problem or not? And then look again, as if it doesn't happen, are you prepared to finish it? And if so, how?
yeah,
And where does the money come from?
that's what Brooke has asked them.
We've had that discussion.
Yeah,
So
and
we
this
don't,
is
we
the
have to
result.
answer that now?
Well, most of them said,
Most of
We
them
don't
are
have the
waiting for
bids yet.
This summer.
yeah, so
Okay.
they're still waiting.
So
Every other project.
okay, so I guess what I'm saying is before we can answer that first question,
Mhm.
we need to wait for their bids. So they can, before we can find out exactly on tab 1 where we're at.
True, but the risk is now that it's gonna be 2024 spring before we have it, and now we don't have enough time to complete the remaining
They weren't
projects.
ready.
And then that puts some of these projects
Okay.
potentially off of the timeframe.
So, and that's what I'm saying, there's risk here. I mean, if I had all the time in the world, I would say, let's finish all these projects first, and then let's see what's left and move to the second tab, but
Okay.
we're running out of time, and that's why we're pushing to get that $15 million obligated.
Well, we can't ask them though, if,
Yeah.
if, let's say that we take that road and the 15 million's gone, which is a good chance, can they complete it or not?
I believe so. When I spoke to one of the staff, they just anticipated that costs would be higher because of materials and labor costs.
But so can they complete
But I
it?
believe they can complete theirs without additional funding. Powder Mountain is one that we're
Okay,
iffy on. And then the other one is
The Green Hills, right?
Green Hills needs that 206.
But
okay.
that's a small.
Okay.
amount.
So I guess really that's the conversation, is that, look, you've got one of two choices. You can either get us your revised bid, solid numbers by what, fall of this year, or let's put a date on whenever we think that's appropriate. And or we'll commit to, you're committing, if you go forward, you're gonna fund the difference. It's gotta be one of those two.
I think it's really only the Powder Mountain Water and Sewer project that would be the one that if you were looking for information on whether one can move forward or not, that might be the one.
Which one?
Powder Mountain Water and Sewers.
Okay.
Cool Springs. Everybody else has amounts listed there
Okay,
of what their impact is, but can move forward. with the exception of CJC,
DJC would not be able to move forward.
Green Hills, but the others, Bona Vista would be able to move forward, Weaver Basin would be able to move forward, and Youth Impact should. be
Yeah.
able to move forward.
Okay,
So really, the only one that you would need a definitive answer would be Paramount Water and Sewer, and they're going out to bid this summer. But I
okay,
can make
so,
a phone call, and just follow up and see if they have additional information yet.
so we should know on Powder Mountain,
This summer is what they told me.
okay?
And what about the Weaver Basin?
Weaver Basin was, they just said the same, you know, we can use
I'm,
additional
That's
funds,
so
but
far out.
your tab 4, which is Central Weaver and Weaver Basin, they've got government, they got tax funds.
Yeah.
Well-
As far as I'm concerned, you can take tab 4 and delete it. but-
Well, tab
That's my
4
opinion.
was a backup in case tab
Yeah.
1 we approve and then it falls through. So
Right.
That's the
Right.
only reason why we have tab 4.
Yeah,
Ideally, they wouldn't get any additional money. It's just
Got it.
worst case scenario, do we send it back to the treasurer or do I give it to Weaver Basin?
I wouldn't delete it, but
no, I'm just.
yeah, I get it.
Saying, don't promise them anything.
I got one more thing
Go ahead.
for you two commissioners. You know, we just heard a presentation, the 2 line items on our agenda before this one about piping over from Radford and Crimson and tying that in over to Osprey. Now's the time to take us out of the game of the sewer business. Tie that in over there. Maybe we just put the pipe in the ground until we can get capacity from the district that may take it. I'd like to get out of that sewer business up there on the hill and get all those people, all that infiltration off that water coming off the backside of the mountain. That's a good idea. I just would, but I have no idea what that would cost to put a pipe in the ground that far.
I could certainly put some work in to figure out what that would cost.
I wouldn't mind before we make a definitive decision here, to at least have that information.
Yeah.
That'd probably make you jump
I
for
think-
joy to get off of those.
Oh, man, he just made my day.
Well, that's good information, and I support that, but I look at the cost versus what we could, if we actually have 40 businesses that have the immediate impact that they can expand and
Oh, yeah.
give us sales tax revenue versus residential, I'm gonna probably go that way.
Well, I absolutely am on the same page there, and I realize that's an easier thing said than done. But at least it
No.
gives it, if it's an impact that could be, we get that in the ground, right?
The
now.
only issue there is that area is not within the district yet, and the district has not agreed to take
That's
that
right.
area.
Those are all those things that would have to get done.
The-
Those, yeah,
We would want it to, we have to be aware of the requirements got to be necessary at the time that it's begun. And then we also have to, if it's going to be over 10 million, I don't know how much it's going to be, but we'd have to look at it. We have to go through certain hoops to see, is this the most reasonable cost? So you
I
can't
get
put a $20 million project in what a $1 million
Yeah.
project would do.
this could be an exercise.
Sure, but it's definitely worth.
I think it's
Put
just
some,
something.
put some effort into it, figure it out, and
Yeah.
come up with a rough idea.
Be nice to at least know that number.
It
if nothing
would
else.
be, yeah.
We
Never
did
really
oversize
considered a reality.
all the Osprey infrastructure for that, assuming that they might want to come or.
Yeah,
they might want to
right.
come. So
Which you guys have done.
we
that.
got 60 people connecting to a line that can take 2,000, so.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
it's sized for it.
All right, so
The only other one I have the question on is the amendment for the reuse fund. And whether or not
the what?
the reuse fund, that newest amendment.
For Wolf Creek.
For Wolf Creek, the million
The
dollars.
sewer
That $1 million.
reuse.
That one, I'm just not sure if the district can move forward, if they were.
Okay.
Well, we're still gonna have bonding to complete that pond. And with all of the additional costs involved with, building that pond, anything that you can help us with will help get that pond done. And it's an integral part to this whole system. If you think about, running the sewer from Eden up to our plant, well, then it goes from our plant up to this reuse pond. So it's really a very important part of this whole system. So we need to have the money to complete it like it's designed. So
Couldn't you put just thinking along the lines here, couldn't you put an impact fee with the new users? And like a pioneering agreement that would enable the existing users in your district not to bear that burden, but the burden would be bore by the impact fee by the new users to pay off that indebtedness?
That is exactly what we plan to do, Commissioner Harvey.
That goes along with, you know, the expansion of the plan. It's the same situation. You know, it'll be the new users who tie on to the plan that end up paying for that expansion.
Okay.
I think that's when you get the Eden Crossing and Cowboy Partners coming in, wanting to expand down there, looking at BID or TIF, finance that expansion.
Yeah, got it. Okay, so I want to bring up touchy subject before we do that. So Green Hills, if we funded the engineering, they say they've got the money to complete the well.
I believe they were tentatively approved for the $1 million that they were asking for from the state.
As a loan, right?
No, it's an actual grant.
Okay.
So as long as they got that and I can follow up and make sure.
Okay.
Then the 206 still the deal. for them
All
to
right,
be able
well,
to move forward.
I'm probably in support of the Green Hills if they have an exit plan.
Okay.
But I don't want to spend 200,000 on a study that doesn't go anywhere.
The study
Okay
is
with that?
complete. The study is complete. The 206,000 is for them to move forward with construction of the treatment plant. So you could make it contingent upon them being approved for their state grant.
Yeah. And Scott, just so you know, since we kind of learned a good lesson from the state, you know, the state does do some things right, but I look at it, Commissioner Harvey, but we want to make sure that these contracts are tied down very tightly in terms of requirements, in terms of what they're to be used for, what they can't be used for, timelines, et cetera.
Mhm.
So these won't be like our first contracts that we just said, okay, here's your money, kind of good luck. I want these to be very specific, taking the LMSA from the state, from water quality and copying that.
Definitely, we can do that, and I can work with the attorneys on that.
Yeah.
Although I would say, I think we've got a lot of teeth in our first agreements. While we could tighten them up a little bit,
Yeah,
Pretty solid.
they're still pretty solid.
well, I think they're pretty solid, but when I had the discussion with the attorneys, we don't have any attorneys here. When we first got those out, they just said, okay, but if we take these to court, we don't have a lot to stand on. If we take them to court, I want something to stand on.
Yeah. I think we're still pretty safe. I mean,
Okay.
we're going from like a 95% confidence level to a 99, but we're still at a 95% on those.
Well, I
agreements.
like 99.5.
Well, there's definitely room for improvement. We'll work on that.
All right, just so you're aware. So let's talk about, so are you okay with Green Hills with that? With that requirement? You okay?
With that requirement.
Yeah. Okay. Did you get that?
Yeah, and Brooks,
So Brooke got a note?
The requirement is that they use it specifically for what they've asked. Where they get
Yeah, we
this-
just want an
they get
exit,
the state funding too.
where they didn't come up with the rest of it.
Yeah. And we'll have.
Because I mean, that well's been in bad shape for the last 40 years, so that water's an issue up there. All right, let's talk about the Children's Justice Center.
Good. How was your discussion with Webb? Did you have a conversation with them?
No, I had a conversation with President Adams and Speaker Wilson
Oh, thank you.
last week, yeah.
And
He said, come and see me, tell me what you need, but that's pretty common.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think, so here's the long and the short of it. I think we stand a pretty good chance of shaming the state in some money.
really?
I do. Now, would that be it's not gonna come, if it comes back, it'll come the next appropriation year, which would be July, which is we probably have enough time to do it. And so my question is let's say that we get 1.5 million, and I'm gonna talk to Stuart and Brad and say, look, split the difference with this, give us 1.5 million, which they might do. They like splitting money as well as anybody else. Can we take that 1.5 million at that point in time and reallocate it? If we decide to give them 3 million.
Yeah, definitely. So let's say we give them 3 million now, and then a year from now, we find out we only need 1.5 million. We would then take it and we could either put it back into some of the projects we've already approved.
Okay,
We could easily, because that's why we want to over obligate. With, the expectation is we tell these people, look, we're over obligated, we will fund you up to X number of dollars, but you're only going to guarantee this. So we did this with the school district with the CARES dollars. We said, we're going to fund you up to $500 per pupil, but what we think it's going to be is this. But
right.
that way, if we had any extra money, we had a spot where we could put
Yeah.
it. I think we'd have to do the same thing on here. So we would say, Weaver Basin or Wolf Creek, you know, we're going to give you $1 million, but maybe up to $1.5 million. Plan on $1 million for sure, but if we have additional funding, because some of these things fall through.
Yeah.
We'll throw in an extra $500,000 to help.
But they would have to come up with the gap and
They would have to come up, yeah.
You're gonna have to bond or whatever that is.
Yeah.
Raise their fee to do it.
Yeah,
Okay. So back to the question we've asked them. Can they complete it for that?
For the 3 million.
Yeah. For that, does that additional three,
3
get it-
million.
does that get them across the finish line or not?
Based on the bids that we have received to date, yes, it does.
Okay,
Now, if this, they don't start for another year, then they might need a little bit more, but I mean,
We
we
say
can't,
yes, they'll go now.
we can't judge that. So,
If they say yes, they go now.
yeah,
Yeah.
and we move forward as if it's go. So I mean, we're still going through the process with the city and everything we need in order to start building immediately. We're in the process right now.
So for those, if I can.
Yeah.
So for those in the room and online, this is an unfunded mandate by the state of Utah we're dealing with right now with this deal. That's what we're talking about. It's gonna come on Weaver County. So basically what it is. So we want to get the state to at least pony up a little more money.
yeah, they're the ones that require us to have it.
Require us to have.
but if I can phrase it, we're in the least bad situation we can be with an unfunded mandate.
Oh,
Because,
absolutely.
because we have the ARPA dollars and we
Yes.
have the cities contributing, so
Yes.
this unfunded mandate is only gonna cost us half. Actually, county general fund tax dollars, it's not gonna cost us hopefully anything.
Right.
We'll be able to use these grant sources and these matches, otherwise, in 4 years from now, we have to fund that. state
And that's what I
unfunded
keep
mandate.
coming back to, is we're gonna have to fund that
Yeah,
out of the general fund if we don't do this.
so we either fund it out of the general fund, we
But
get,
like, cities have contributed,
Mhm.
and I appreciate your efforts with the state, because if we can get half of that, that's even better.
Yeah.
But I'm of the opinion that we need to fund it
3
now.
million.
with ARPA money.
Okay, well, there's no question, just, yeah. Okay, so,
So if they say they're ready to go forward, if we give them the additional, are they going to?
Yeah, absolutely. Rod's ready to pull the trigger, right?
Well, they told us that.
so I take that as a yes.
And then if in July, we get another 1.5 million bonus for us,
Well, I'm not asking for 3, just so you know,
Sure.
but, yeah.
we get another 1.5.
Realistically, we can get 1.5. I know
Just
how
in
they,
case you've never sold a house before, you ask high, then you settle on.
I know how they work down there, yeah.
You know what you're after.
Okay, I'll put that on there and get going.
All
There's,
right, so based upon, what do we do, 3? We did Green Hills, subject to.
Yep.
We did Children,
CJC,
CJC.
yep,
And did we do another one?
that's the only two we,
No, we
You-
did the
you
Little
said
Mountain
Little
Service.
Oh, Little Mountain,
oh, on the second.
the 300,000.
Yeah, on the second half, yeah. We did the 300,000 plus the 2 million, right? Once we get the
Right,
final numbers for
right.
those.
Well, that could come back cheap.
Yeah,
$2 million's a lot of money to get scoped.
yeah,
Yeah, well, yeah. I hope that comes in half the cost.
Yeah, so let's just put a tag on that 2 million,
Okay,
but I'm not in disagreement.
so for sure, the 300,000, we're okay to start.
So I would say the 300,000 for sure,
Okay,
because we can't use the 5 million. We can't use that for infiltration. Let's find out what infiltration we really have and what it's gonna come
we'll
down.
come back to you with that one
But-
once we have that number.
But in theory, you support that.
That's like Mr. Bolo said, it's the right, I'm with you.
Okay,
So we've spent 3.5 million now of the 15 million that we could spend. Do you want
so what does that leave us?
to, 12.5 or 11.5, sorry?
11 and a half? Okay. All right, so we know under tab 1 what we're looking for.
Yep, and we could leave some aside if you want to set, just say maybe it's $1 million, $2 million as contingency, because the ones we need, Powder Mountain and Wolf Creek to come back, right? Those are the two we said.
Wolf Creek knows their amount.
Okay,
So it's just, we're only waiting for really, and we're, sorry, for Powder.
So
Mountain.
if we set a contingency, we need to put an expiration date when we can commit those,
Mhm.
not just, I don't want that going back.
Yeah, in our previous contracts, we said June 30th of 2024 was the day. So they had to be obligated and ready to go 6 months. That gave us 6 months extra time if they didn't
So
need it.
what's your opinion on I mean, I like the idea of a contingency. I think it's gotta be somewhere between $1 million to 2.
a lot.
Yeah, but. I mean,
I'm
so,
okay with it. I'm okay with it.
I mean,
If we put a date on it.
Yeah, I mean, they're asking for $1 million right here. I mean, we could use $1 million contingency today on Wolf Creek if that's what you wanted.
all right, let's do $1 million contingency right now.
Okay.
You okay?
Uh-huh.
Okay. So that takes us down to 10.5 by my calculations.
Yep.
Wow. These numbers go fast. Doesn't take long to spend 15 million.
So if we want to leave, I mean, we'll hopefully know what the Little Mountain Service Area repair will be. So
Yeah.
let's just say that's 2 million or 10 and a half. I don't know. What do you want to say? How much do we want to leave? 1.5 million for that?
I got no idea what that would cost.
Yeah.
I can't expect
I just know it seems.
To scope it,
No, this would be to fix the infiltration.
That's a cold
So
loss.
we're talking slip lining or whatever.
I mean, I think we ought to take that down to 1.5 million.
yes.
I can't.
I'm not sure, like, I could do some checking and see what.
Does that number seem realistic for you?
So we got that number from Clay Marriott and,
From who?
from Clay Marriott and James Dixon, who are the engineers for Second River Sewer.
Probably agree
They
with
were at the last meeting, if you remember Gage, they were at the last meeting,
All right.
and we got that number from them. That was their estimate number, but no one's looked at the pipes, nobody
No,
knows.
Nobody knows what the
That's
issue
just
is.
like, that's like a worst case scenario
Keep in-
estimate.
Keep in mind, they're right in the middle of lining their existing pipes, so those are probably pretty realistic numbers if that's what they told you.
They might not be lining this small, right? Like an 8-inch.
Right, they're definitely lining bigger pipes that they're doing right now. So,
Is that for lining it? Or is that for the study?
The 2 million is for lining it.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and that's what they're right in the middle of right now, lining the trunk line.
okay.
So,
Well, I'm gonna go, if we're trying to push some answers and get things done,
Yeah,
I'm gonna spend another 5 right now.
on.
I want that brown offspray and Kobe to get done. I think that's important. That heat and sewer.
These two right here?
That one, yeah. At least that gets us to our priority. That's my suggestion.
So you'd
would be to
say
get
those two.
two done.
That leaves you 3.9, basically $4 million.
If we have a contingency, right?
So I left a contingency of $1 million on the first tab. Plus the CJC plus that 500,000, which $1 million contingency is not very much truthfully when you're looking at the size of the projects that are already funded. So with that $1 million contingency, plus if we were to fund $1.5 million here, 300,000 here, plus essentially $5 million there, we have $3.9 million, $4 million left.
I
Okay.
like the Powder Mountain one.
I don't know. I'm not,
They're putting money into it. You know what I mean? That they're putting in 50%. But that's where that's my next feeling. I'm just trying to, look, we could sit, well, we don't have a meeting till 4:30. We're okay. We can sit till 9:50.
I
Yeah.
do, I'm missing one.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So there's the other two, the gravity lines or the New Eden line and the Old Eden line as well. So I mean, we've got
They're all good projects.
good projects. Total of those. would
I
be-
actually like the
3.5.
New Eden. Well, I like both the new. I mean, I just look at the businesses up there.
I like those too.
I think your bang for the buck is the New Eden line,
Is what?
the New Eden line.
Yeah, that's what I
Got all those
said.
existing business, some of them with
I mean, if you-
septics already.
Again, I'd like to see,
I agree.
so what I'd like to see, Scott, is go through and analyze these before we make a decision on cost per user.
Okay.
Benefit
Yeah.
per user.
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
You okay?
But if you group line item 5, 6, 7, 8, right in that area and get a cost per user in there.
Yeah,
And or maybe you could take that down to 9 too. Who knows? But just a
do,
cost per
do,
user.
do Old Town,
Yeah.
do Old Town as well,
Okay.
per user. So give us a cost per user on those.
Well, you ain't gonna get a good cost per user up on number 5. Depending on the time of the year, it might be 3 people.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right.
But it is what it is. That'd be my deal right there.
All right, so what I hear you saying is that we're gonna take a look at four, you want four in there or not? You want Powder Mountain or not?
Yeah, it just doesn't hurt why they're doing it.
All right, so let's take a look at 4 through 9 cost per user.
I think he means 5 through 10.
So the ones that are highlighted right now, right?
Right.
You wanna go to 10?
No, whatever that is. Oh, 9, you're right.
So those that I just highlighted in gray,
Those
right?
are all sewer, right?
These are all sewer.
Yeah, the sewers,
Yeah.
okay?
Okay.
So let's look at that.
So I'll come back and I'll bring the detailed evaluation, the same
So
format that
give-
you saw.
Give us the
previous one.
detail.
Yeah.
And the same questions need to be asked.
I'm good with it.
What if we funded part of this? Do you have what's the other source of funds?
Mhm.
What's your game plan if you can't finish it for that?
Okay.
I just assume ask that up front.
And I'd also like to save a little money, whether it's in that contingency or whatever, and do another. You had the encircle in there and you had a
Yeah.
couple of those others and you had the Marriott Slaterville, those 3 things that didn't get on there.
The only one
Just
that
to-
I see in there is there was Encircle,
So there was the Encircle, there was the Wildlife Rehabilitation Center, which I don't think is eligible.
that's not gonna work.
And then you've got the Weaver Housing Authority project.
Can we really accept that without opening it back up?
So that's our
That's our
concern
concern.
right there is, if we're going to allow 6 new applications, do we need to say? Everybody has a week now to submit applications and now we have to
Well,
review these.
What I would like to, what I'd like to
I think you
do,
have to.
what I'd like to do is say, look. We're in the finalizing our ARPA. What's this, June 1st? You've got, get the word out, put it publicly, give them 30 days. If you have something else you'd like to submit, do it.
Is that, I guess the only question is that disingenuous where we already have more projects than we can
I
fund
think it
right
is.
now?
Do you?
I really, well,
Okay.
yeah, you're asking people to
Well-
submit more when we don't even have money.
That it's just a thought.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's
depending on
why-
how interested you are in these sewer projects, that's more money than we
Yeah.
have.
Okay. I don't
So
disagree.
why open it up?
I don't disagree with you.
We already have unapproved projects that you didn't fund.
We already
Right.
have, yeah,
Right.
We haven't talked about.
Okay,
any of
all right.
those, but-
never mind.
Okay, fine.
That's exactly what he's saying.
Sorry.
We got, okay.
Okay, so I'm just gonna confirm, we are a go.
So it's their fault for being late to the party.
Everybody had the initial opportunity to apply and everybody who got in the door, and I even see this tab too, these are requests that came in and they were different iterations of these requests, but over time you've had this vision of the Upper Valley Sewer. So I still see this as part of the same original request that came in. We asked them to go back and change things. And they did. So I think.
Yeah, even, I mean, let's be honest. These requests all came in within the last 30 days,
Exactly, yeah.
right?
But kind of at our request, right? Because they came in with these different projects and we're like, why are we doing these things separately? Let's work
Okay,
together and.
Right.
That's where this came from, I think. So I feel like this is a continuation from the first round with some improvement.
With the Little Mountain Service Area, we are doing some stuff and some of the other things down on the west side where the bulk. 98% of our population base, our full-time population base is here. So I think it shows a little love. We've got to do something about the future out there. Certainly, if you put this for a price per person, price per capita, we're not putting any more money in the Upper Valley, period. But I think if this is gonna solve the infiltration problem or help contribute towards it, I think that's good.
Well, Little Mountain's gonna have to be the answer to a lot of that,
Right,
a lot of the businesses,
yep.
future homes. Central Weaver's obviously not very serious about going that far west.
I think the point I'm trying to make here is the fact that all the amount of ARPA money that we've already spent, committed to the Ogden Upper Valley is proportionately well in favor of people who live in the Ogden.
I don't think there's any question
I
about
mean,
that.
without question, that'll never make the paper likely, but
No.
that right in itself should be it.
Yeah, I would say you're absolutely right. If you look at the dollars, where they go, where they've gone or will go.
Well, if it takes the nitrate out of out of the.
Benefits everybody.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know.
All the
The problem, what, the message that will be sent won't be about the nitrates, it'll be about us approving more development.
Yeah.
And how, you know, we're the bad guys for approving development. It won't be about the nitrates.
That's the hard.
So that's a hard pill to swallow.
Yeah.
Because the word that'll come out on the street will be, but, you know,
You son of a gun.
you son of a gun just approved another, 200 homes up here.
Just reply that you drink good, clean water because of that.
Yeah, I wish that what, all we want is the truth, but we never seem to get the truth up there. That's why it's a little difficult for some of us to bite the bullet. At the end of the day, it's the right thing to do, but when people lie about it, doesn't make us real happy. Okay, anything else?
I'm just confirming really quick, we're telling CJC go for $3 million. We're telling Green Hills go for 206,000 with the conditions that they show us how they're gonna fund this thing. And then the other one that was a go was the $300,000 for the engineering for the Little Mountain service area. Everything else, we're coming back to you with either updated costs on Little Mountain's infiltration or scoping. And then we'll come back with the costs per user for these other systems. It's going to be very high because how do you estimate like the Little Mountain? There's not that many users for that cost.
No.
Now, there's future users, but we'll have to come up with some methodology
What's
to
the
estimate.
criteria on that?
Yeah, because it's
Yeah.
like right now, it's nobody, but
Right.
or one user, if we do the industrial park out there or two, so there'll be some estimates in there and I'll have to have you guys look at them to see. We'll do our best job to come up with. some
Well,
estimates.
but keep in mind, that's $5 million state money that we're not using our funds on. And so
Yeah, definitely
if
5
you
million.
if you look at it from who's put skin in the game, that's a good one to justify.
Yeah, and maybe we look at this with a match, as in like,
Yeah.
what's the match being put in there? I think if we do the cost per user.
Yeah.
It's gonna have to be a guesstimate as to how many users
I-
we're gonna have, and so that number's gonna be hard.
I don't disagree with that.
Okay, but we'll do our best.
But the difference between that and some of these others is that you've got a $5 million input.
Mhm. Yeah, but I'm talking like the 2
Yeah.
on 1.5 million for the infiltration. How many users does that help? 3? 3 businesses right now that are connected to it legitimately, hopefully more in the future, right? But how do you calculate that?
Well, and
number per user?
We're gonna have that board meeting again on this, and Compass Minerals is doing their major improvement out there. Again, you're right. I don't think it hurts for LMSA to go to the users and say, look, you gotta pay a portion of this. I don't think this is all counted.
Yeah, definitely.
And Jake, we don't know if the lateral lines that are compromised or the main line or both.
Yeah.
So if it ends up being the lateral lines, the companies that own the lateral lines will be paying for their portion.
Right. Yeah.
We'll require that.
Good to know.
Okay.
All right, anything else?
Nope.
Mr. Balls? Mr. Harvey?
Wow, you run a fine meeting, Mr. Chair.
Thanks we're a little over time. No, I don't. I was 20 minutes over.
Brandon, travel safe.
Okay, thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
We got a Red Cog meeting coming up.
Communicating that to
Yeah. Quick second. Quick second, let's.
Sean, Stephanie wants to,
Okay, sorry.
thanks for coming, guys.
You can communicate that.
Seconds.
Okay, we'll be right back.
Let me know what information you need from me.
Yeah, Scott and I. We'll get back. Yeah.
Thank you, Commissioner.